Well, this is my opportunity to tell you that this topic was brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Why should you use Squarespace, ladies and gentlemen? Well, it's simple. Number one, it's easy. Creating your website with Squarespace is a simple, intuitive process. You can add and arrange your content and features with the click of a mouse. You get a free custom domain. Squarespace makes adding a domain to your site simple. If you sign up for a year, you'll receive the custom domain for a year free. There you go. A year for a year. Eye for an eye, they say, Kevin. Leaves the whole world with custom domains. You got beautiful templates? Design a best-in-class online store with Squarespace's award-winning templates, customizable settings, and more. All without a single plugin. And probably most importantly, they have customer support 24/7. You need these guys, you can hit up them no matter the hour. You drop them the email, you go in there, you talk to them, they got things, they're chatting away, they talk to you online. It's great. Now, a lot of times we put out these ads and you guys say, you're a liar. I've never seen you do anything with that. That's a lie if you're saying that's a lie, because you know you're lying to us when we're not telling you, we're telling you we're not lying. Because if you remember, kindoffunny.com V1 was built by Nick Scarpino in Squarespace. And as I always say, if Nick Scarpino can do it, literally anyone can do it. I don't know how old you are listening to this, sir or madam. Maybe you've never seen a computer. But again, if Nick Scarpino can take those sausage fingers of his and pound out on the buttons what needs to happen and make a website happen, that shows you how easy Squarespace is. So start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter the offer code KINDOFFUNNY to get 10% off your first purchase. It says there's no more, the tagline isn't, they don't have the tagline anymore, Kevin. Remember, build it beautiful. Now they have the one, Squarespace, set your website apart. But I still say, build it, you beautiful bastards. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the GameOvergreggy show. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside a motley crew today. First off, this would be news on its own. The Glue, Kevin Coelho here. This is where you talk.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what's going on?
This is your first GameOvergreggy show. Like your first real GameOvergreggy show.
Not where we're like drunkenly sitting around a chair at the table for the 4 hours.
Well, we're drinking, but
oh, Lord.
Give me a cheers to that. Over here. Comic Book Girl 19. Get out of here. You don't get anything.
It's coffee time.
Hi.
Hey, Comic Book Girl. Get it right up on that. Don't be afraid of it.
Hey.
I know you've never been on YouTube before. Thank you for coming all the way from LA to hang out with us.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me.
Motherfucker.
Oh, God damn it. Those fucking
These sons of
bastards.
what is getting delivered now? Man, he went through there like a tornado. Yeah. And over there, the pure one, Tim Gettys.
What's most? Hello.
Hi.
This is really exciting. Really excited about all of this. It's gonna be a good show. I can feel it. I can tell.
It's just. Yeah, I can't. First off, the ice bucket making its return because we're drinking on this show again. We haven't done this in forever.
I'm honored.
Our new friend 19 here, Kevin Coelho here doing his thing. Yeah. Of course, since he's doing the thing here, he's got to take notes here, and it's just weird to see him like in the Nick spot with the headphones and the thing here where he's monitoring stuff over there when he should be over there monitoring. Yeah, he would have gotten these packages no problem on his own.
People gonna be able to see what Kevin has to do normally on the show.
That's it. No, come on back. What was the package? What did the package look like? Was it a good package?
Was it from Amazon?
Was it my Suicide Squad stuff?
It was a big box and a medium-sized box.
Do you guys do Prime?
Oh yeah, yeah. Come on.
Man, you can't live without
we look like a bunch of clowns.
Well, like I was actually talking to some people that were like in my age bracket, and they were like, I was like, Amazon Prime, right? And they were like, what are you talking about?
In LA?
Yeah.
Wow. See, if you're in the middle of the country or something, it's okay. You don't know what Prime is. I guess that's fine.
Right.
Here we live and die by Prime.
Yeah.
There's no, here there's no like Walmarts to go to. No.
I heard that in San Francisco actually they have like next day or
they
day
do?
Prime now.
Yeah.
Prime now, yeah.
So good.
Yeah, a friend of mine said that he got a package in like 11 minutes from when he ordered it.
Yeah. Well, there was one day where I needed a new charger before I left on a trip. Yeah, and I got it in 30 minutes or whatever.
That's
Some guy ran it over. Yeah.
I heard that Amazon, you know how there's midnight releases for games? They're going to start sending people at midnight to deliver your game.
Really?
True story.
Okay.
True story.
Wasn't sure if that was going to be a Tim joke.
No, that's a real story.
Okay.
Yeah. Amazon. They think of everything.
Yeah.
That shit's good.
Convenience is king.
That shit's good.
If you didn't know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Game Over Greggy show. Each and every week, 4, sometimes 5 best friends gather on this table. Where the fuck were you, Kevin?
I'm excited. It's a big moment.
Yeah, I know it is. You blew it. You blew it right there.
No, not because of the table, because she's here.
Oh, this is
I make him
exciting.
nervous.
No, yeah, he's a big fan. We're all big fans. But
I'm the
he's
biggest.
the biggest, probably.
Yeah.
I say I was on your channel first, I think. personally.
No, absolutely
No.
not.
Yeah, I think so.
No. Kevin told me about you many moons ago.
Kevin's
and I was
OG?
instantly Kevin is the OGest of OG.
Well, Kevin, what's the first episode that you watched? What was the one that got you?
I mean, it was the Game of Thrones, like
Yeah.
what was the first stuff?
The Epic History ones, right?
No, it wasn't that. It was before the Epic History ones. It was just Game of Thrones season 1 like review or something.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Thanks,
you had
bro.
so much gold on there, and it's still coming, and it's long form, and I love it.
We're going to get to that. Each bringing a random topic of discussion for your amusement. If you like that, head over to patreon.com/kindafunny where you get each and every episode early along with a bunch of exclusives, perks, and goodies. If you have no bucks to toss our way, no big deal. Head over to youtube.com/kindafunny where we post the entire show topic by topic, day by day, until it goes up as one big MP3 and video for free. Now 19. Comic
Yes.
book girl 19.
Yes.
If we know you. Kevin is in love with you. Don't worry, he's engaged.
No, everybody is. It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's
true.
good.
We all are.
I know.
First, the people out there who don't know your story, they don't know who you are. Who are you and why are you here?
Okay. Well, geez, that's such a question.
How's she doing with the microphone? Do I need to?
How am I doing with this microphone?
She's doing fine.
Okay. Oh, gosh. Okay. So I am a person. I went to art school. I went to art school, and I love critiquing art, and I love art. It's a big thing of mine. I have a degree in comic books, of all things.
What's a degree in comic books look like?
Were you the
Well-
19th person to get that?
Right.
Yeah?
You got me.
I know.
It's
She's like, I gotta go. Just walk back to LA.
I got a degree in comic books, and I was trying to get into doing comic books, but
What does that mean? What does that mean? Where do you go for a degree in comic books, and then what does that mean? Like in terms
okay.
of you got a degree in drawing comics?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Savannah College of Art and Design in Georgia.
Okay.
I had a pretty sweet scholarship, so I went to a private art school, but I still got a lot of student loans, so it was like 50-50.
Yeah.
And so, I wanted to draw and create comic books and things like that. And, but man, let me tell you, trying to break into the comic book industry is it's pretty hard. It's a tough cookie to crack.
Yeah.
And after a little while, I was just like, you know what? I need to do something else. So I started tattooing instead. I tattooed for 5 years. During that 5 years, I met and moved out to LA. My creative partner, Tyson Wheeler, he is the director of our show.
Mhm.
And, I was watching him do all these like crazy short films like by himself because he's like ridiculous. Like he does like everything, like writes it, directs it, edits it, composites it, like everything. And so I was like, hey, dude, like, why don't we just like get me drunk and talk about X-Men? And that would be pretty cheap. And it wouldn't take you like 3 years to finish a project.
Was that an upsell though? Was he like, I make films, 19. I'm not gonna go out and watch you get drunk and talk about
He
it.
was kind of down because it was okay. So I kind of snuck in. He was in a weird place because before we had come together, he had a creative partner, this other guy, Brett, and we just released actually their project together, Ghost Perv, on our YouTube channel. Ghost Perv, yeah. And
Can you please
give me the
give us the
elevator
pitch on Ghost Perv?
Okay, so Ghost Perv, it's okay. You have this guy. He's like this pervy construction worker guy, and this really pretty girl walks by, and he dies, and then comes back and haunts her. And he can. And the thing is if you're a ghost and you can be in a pretty girl's room, well, you can like see her like in the shower and stuff like that. You can peep on her all the time. There's nothing she can do about it. So he does, and there's definitely some like masturbation shenanigans and stuff that goes on in this movie. Like it's
My favorite shenanigans.
some ectoplasm may or may not be
there it is,
happening.
there it is.
It's pretty raunchy. And I'm not in it, but I helped produce it and do stuff like that. So anyways, Brett moved to Texas, and so he, Tyson was like, oh, I need someone to make stuff with.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, you want to make some stuff with me? So he gave me a shot, and I think it paid off pretty well. And so, so we started making the show, started uploading it to YouTube, just talking about comic books and stuff like that. And I was really excited to be doing it because I was like, oh, I want to be, I don't see many girls talking about comic books.
Right.
And I don't see people talking about them in the way that I talk about them. And I don't really have anyone to talk to about comic books. So like, I was like, maybe I'll talk to a camera about them. And I guess people really liked it. So
How long have you been doing Comic Book Girl 19 now?
4 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, 4 years now. So for the first year, I was still tattooing, and then he was doing odd jobs and stuff like that. And then, you know, just we hit like about almost 50, we were like 40,000 subscribers, I think, when we launched our Kickstarter. And then I think we got 50,000 not soon after that. And so we did a Kickstarter, and I quit my job the very first day of our Kickstarter. We smashed our goal. It was really awesome.
Was the goal I'll quit my job?
Well, we had our, you know, Kickstarter goal, and I was already quitting. I was like, I'm out. Whatever it does, like, I'm out. We can figure this out. And so it did great. And
what was the goal, and what was it for? What was the Kickstarter for, and when was this? Give us the whole story.
Okay, so the Kickstarter was, I guess, April 2012 or 2013, whatever 3 years ago was.
Right.
So yeah, we did a Kickstarter where we wanted to make more episodes more quickly, essentially, which meant just us like quitting our jobs and then working on it full time.
Sure.
So yeah, so we did this big Kickstarter. Our goal was $20,000. We raised about 60. So, and that was just, we smashed our first goal on the first day of the 20,000. And like, I was like, we did not expect that. It was really amazing. And yeah, our fans really supported us and they wanted to see more. So we did quit our jobs, and then we started working on the show full time. And man, let me tell you, fulfilling Kickstarter orders is really nuts. Like, because there's like people like you have to do all that stuff.
Yep,
we had really cool incentives, but I kind of overdid it a little bit. You know, it was my first time.
No, we know that too.
We're quite familiar.
Yeah, it happens.
We'll sign all the posters.
Yeah.
And then people are like, "Hey, I got a poster tube but no poster." And then other people are like, "I got a poster tube with 2 posters." And you're like, "God damn it."
yeah. And you got to deal with that on an individual.
Yeah, there's
basis.
nowhere else for it to go. The work doesn't go anywhere else.
It doesn't go anywhere else. So so I did that. We got that done, and it was wonderful. And then the next year, like the thing is our ad revenue stuff, it's YouTube. It's not, I don't have 1 million subscribers. You know what I'm saying? So
just 500,000.
So almost. We're almost so close. But yeah, so we always have to kind of find outside sources, whether that's through like Audible ads, sponsorships, whatever. And another thing that we did was a calendar the next year. We did the 2015 cosplay sexy magic calendar. And that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun doing that. And that funding carried us for a long time.
Sure.
So now we recently just started doing Patreon. We launched one.
Heard of it.
We know that site.
Yeah,
We've heard that site.
You may have heard of it. We just got on Patreon. So we got that going on as well. And then, we've also, in addition to our YouTube content where we talk about comics, movies, whatever is, the weird stuff around comics and movies.
Sure.
Everything. We also, talk about the X-Men a lot. We've done 3 Epic History X-Men documentaries.
And those
We've done
are
a
awesome.
lot of Game of Thrones stuff. A lot of Game of Thrones stuff. And yeah, we try to do kind of longer, more, look past the surface, because a lot of people just talk about surface shit. And I'm like, no, let's talk about the themes. And, again, I went to art school, so it's like, I want to, like, that's what you do. Somebody puts their art up there, and you say, oh, I like this about it. And this about it isn't working. And so, I think that critique should be in more than just art schools. I feel like it's really good for humanity. I feel like a lot of people online don't necessarily always understand, like, it's okay to
like something but not love something.
Yes,
get into
to like it, but also be real about it.
A lot of people are sensitive on the internet these days. I don't know if you've noticed this.
Whew. Yeah, they sure are. They
don't
sure
like.
are.
They don't like opinions.
They don't
That's
like
really
opinions.
what it is.
They don't like being told they're being wrong. They hate when the cast is all female. They hate
man.
that.
Oh,
yeah.
They get So here's what I want to know. You can drink your bourbon.
Okay.
What I want to know is, for you, when do you fall in love with comics? This has to happen at an early age, right, to set you on this path? That
Absolutely. I remember I was a young, impressionable girl in 4th grade, I believe, and I think that's when the Spider-Man and the X-Men cartoons came out.
Oh, yeah.
And so...
Solid times.
And I'd already had some run-ins with superheroes through my uncle. He's only 10 years older than me, so when I visited him and my grandma, he had, like, Star Wars stuff, Star Trek stuff, like...
Real nerd stuff.
Yeah, they made me watch like Buckaroo Banzai Across the 8th Dimension. Like I read like Dark Knight Returns at his house. Like, and I was probably way too young for it, but I loved it. It was great.
A female Robin, cool.
Yes. I was like, yes, Gary Kelly. Like, awesome. I'm in. And so, yeah, so with his kind of influence, and he always gave me hand-me-down like Nintendos and Super Nintendos and stuff. So I was playing video games too. I was doing all that stuff.
Sounds like a cool uncle.
He was cool. He was cool. And so, yeah, that's kind of where it started. I really fell in love with X-Men and Spider-Man. And so I started like getting the cards, like the 1994 Flare Ultra cards.
You're flipping over and you're finding out like how powerful everybody is. Yeah.
And they have the Marvel Story. I love those cards. I just recently rebought them a couple years ago just because they're really nostalgic.
Yeah, trading cards is such a funny thing because they exist for everything. We were at Comic-Con last week and you're walking by and I'm just like, why is there Super Mario Bros. The movie cards?
Yeah.
Like, this is a thing. People buy them. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are they still making them? Are they still a big deal? Kevin, you're the youngest.
I think they're still making
They
them.
still make them. I mean,
But are they a big deal to these kids? I
Didn't
remember.
Pokemon just blow up again.
well, no, that's
Yeah,
different.
I
though.
know
Trading
that's-
cards, collectible
okay,
cards.
Got it. You're,
I will
Yeah.
never forget when I got the final card I needed. When I saw Matt Noel going through his Terminator 2 cards, and I saw the one card I didn't have for my collection, that I had the entire collection of Terminator 2 cards, and then I was like, what the fuck do I do with all these Terminator 2 cards?
You have them in a binder and
Exactly.
they just sit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got all these Twin Peaks cards. They're really ridiculous. But yeah, so from there, I don't know, I started hanging out in comic book stores. Like,
Nice.
there was a bunch where I lived. I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama. And I hung out at Comic Corner and I took comic book drawing classes because I used to draw a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And it was like my little deal in life, a little drawer. And so, so I was just kind of stuck with that. I went through high school. I had a really great art teacher who was like really encouraging. And she was like, you can go to art school. You don't have to be a doctor. And because also I was going to maybe be as a doctor. And I had 2 full rides. I had one to UAH and UAB. And so I wouldn't have had to have student loans, but I was like, I want to go to art school.
Yeah, classic.
And you know what?
Fuck being a doctor.
Well, it's a lot of school. It's like,
No, it's a ton of
like
school.
9 to 11 years of
And it's all super
school.
confusing. People, they graduate school, but then they still have residencies and something else. And there's all these
Have to
other
do real things?
I don't know what the hell
No.
they're talking about.
Yeah, no, I want to do like forensic pathology where you're like cutting up dead people and stuff like that. Because it's like a puzzle. You want to find out why they died. But, I don't
Exactly.
need to be in a morgue. I need to be out there living as an
Yeah.
artist.
God damn it, I gotta be out there.
So that's what I did. And, SCAD, I have a love-hate relationship with SCAD, but it really prepared me for definitely like being in LA. Because LA is it's like a giant art school because you have all the different here's the photography people and then here's like this the animation people.
Was there film kids at the school too?
Yeah, we had film kids.
There's the film kids.
That's like Tyson actually went to film school there.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah.
So is that how you guys met then?
Well, it's so weird. We went to the same high school. We didn't know each other, and then in Huntsville or Madison, Alabama, and then we went to the same college, and we met there through like mutual friends who also went to the same high school. And then and we just knew each other for years. And then and he was out here a year before I was out here. He was living with his friend Robert Hoffman, who's another person from Madison, and he was like a dancer, and he was in like Step Up 2. He was like the
Step Up
lead
Street.
in
From
Step Up
Alabama
2.
to Step Up 2.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Robert Hoffman. So they were buddies, and they were hanging out, and then I moved out. And then a couple of years later, started making the show, and I've been in LA for 6 years now.
Yeah, but I mean, so that's the thing. Now you're jumping over so much here.
Okay,
And-
I know.
and your
There's a lot.
fascinating story. You're
There's a
fascinating.
lot.
You keep saying the show. If somebody doesn't know, is the show is just you talking to the camera about comics and things that interest you, right?
Yeah.
And then there's a robot.
Yeah, my robot sidekick.
Yeah.
Robot.
So you're in the tattoo shop. And you're tattooing people, and you're like, "There's got to be more to life than this."
Yeah.
And you say, "Well, why don't you film me talking about X-Men?"
Yeah.
Do you think at that time that this is going to set you on a path, or are you just trying to you just want to talk about X-Men?
I just wanted to talk about X-Men.
Yeah.
I didn't have any this is some push that we're making. It was just like, let's try this. And I did the art thing for a long time, and I kind of forgot about my performing side of myself. When I was younger, I was like a little performer.
Sure.
But I'd forgotten all about that. And then, having a amazing videographer partner right there, just like, well, hey, put me on camera. Like,
Yeah.
I've been watching him put other people on camera. I'm like, I can
I
do
can do
that.
that.
Like, I can do that. So he did, and I guess it clicked with the audience because I don't know, I'm like so. The way I talk, I have these conversations with myself. I think I overthink things a lot. I
Sure.
have a lot to say, so it's like really great to have just an impartial camera to talk to about all of my things.
That never interrupts. You just imagine going, "Huh."
Yeah, it's
Tell me
we're
more
just
about
like,
that.
let it go. Yeah, there's so much, and like I said, I don't have a lot of people that I can talk that like my own friends and family. Like they don't necessarily watch my stuff. Like they don't want to. Like a lot of my friends don't read comic books.
Of
Like
course.
they don't do any of this stuff. So it's interesting.
Was that hard though? I mean, you said growing up, you get into comics, you start hanging out at the comic shops. Was it not having a peer on that level? Were you worried about falling out of it ever?
Wait, say that one more time.
Were you worried about falling out of comics and art and all this stuff, or like not having? Even when you go to art school, you'd mentioned there's not many women involved with comics.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me personally, I've always been attracted to. I just like what I like, and I like comic books. And for me, I've had a really great experience with like guys and boys over the year. Like they're not like super mean to me because I'm like cool, and then they're cool to me, and it's just fine.
Yeah, you scare most of them probably.
Well, yeah, that
you
too.
intimidate Tim. Look at him.
Yeah,
I'm so intimidated.
No, it's true. People ask, they're like, do you get hit on all the time? I'm like, no. Like, no.
I put off the vibe of don't fuck with me, so no, I'm left alone.
I'm weird. People are like, is she lesbian? I don't know. You know, and it's just like and that's fine with me. Like perfect.
You're like, let the mystery continue.
Yeah.
It's fine. But yeah, wait, where was I? Fuck, no, like I've been drinking and you're getting me all excited.
Hey, you're the one who wanted to drink. You brought this on yourself.
I know.
So, all right, I want the history.
I didn't know. I wasn't
fine.
done. Remember, because what I was saying
Greg.
was it hard to find peers. Like since you were hanging out at comic shops, not many females who want to do what you want to do. Your friends don't even like it that much. Were you ever in a point where like trying to almost falling out of it?
Well, I mean, I've gone in and out of comic books, like especially in college. Like in high school, I was reading a whole bunch, and then in college, like I was really poor college art student.
I know that well.
So I was not buying comic books.
I was going to the bookstore and just reading them off the shelf and then putting them back. And I'm like, I feel terrible, but I used to buy you, but I can't today.
Yeah, I had a boyfriend. I would read his comics because he's like had a family who was like kind of supporting him more.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to support myself a little bit more in college. So I was like working a whole bunch, and I just didn't have that. I was like stealing like a lot of food from Walmart at one point. But I got away with it. It was fine.
How are you stealing it? Give everybody the pro tips. Like you're going to the produce market, putting apples in your pockets?
Yeah, I mean, Luna bars especially. I would steal. 'Cause those are really, you can just get the singles and stuff like that. So there was some of that going on. But it was like Wild West. It was Savannah, Georgia's weird. It's a weird place, guys. Like it is. You like that place is not the. I don't know. It's interesting. But yeah. So I got out of it then, and then. When I was working at the tattoo shop, there was a piercer there, Captain Kirk. He's been on my show before. He was every like Wednesday he was going to get his comic books, and then me and the owner Coop were like, we want to read your comic books, you know. And so then it got to the point where we would shut down the shop every Wednesday, and then we would go get our comic books and come back, and then we'd all read them, and then if somebody got one that the other one didn't buy, we'd trade them around.
Yeah.
And then, so we were doing that for like when the New 52 like first started coming out. That's when I really got back into it. And I read a whole bunch of that. That was the perfect time to dive in.
Sure.
And,
all the number ones again.
Yeah. It was a good time to dive in.
Back row could walk again.
Well, well, whatever. And then, so that's kind of where I got back into it. And then after that, like I'd been so knowledgeable about reading everything at that point that I was ready to do the show because I'd kind of boned back up on everything.
So then, talk me through the first few episodes of the show. Like, it's not where it is obviously now, but I mean, was it still in? Was it on its way to that? Like, because the robot's such a genius fucking idea. I wish we had a robot.
Okay, I can talk about Robot. We just released Life in Space, which is another one of Tyson Wheeler's short films. I appear as a dead person on the floor, and one thing again, I'm not like really in it. But I am an alien. Actually, I bump into, but you can't tell it's me. It's really stupid. But Robot was in that. Yeah. But before that, he was built originally to be in a car commercial in Atlanta, but it never. I don't think the car commercial ever happened or something. And so Robot was just hanging out in the corner back there, and I had been trying to get rid of him. I was like, can we just get rid of this guy like hanging out, like taking up all this space on the balcony? And then so Tyson was like, no, we're starting this show. I want Robot to be on it. And then I'm like, like that Robot is a lot to deal with. Because, I'm breaking the fourth wall here, and T-Bone's going to get so bummed at me and breaking the fourth wall. He doesn't want me to do it, but I'm going to do it for you guys anyways. That costume sucks to wear, and I'm the one who has to wear that shit half the time because I'm little. And it's like, hurts your arms and like that. So my annoyance at Robot is very real because like it's just like and
I just love him because he's like the perfect foil for you because you're so knowledgeable, and every time you cut to him he asks like the dumbest question.
I know, and I genuinely don't know what he's going to say is the thing. Like a lot of times like I'm very much caught off guard by whatever it is. Like it's not
scripted.
It's not a scripted show, It's like we have some bullet points of things we want to talk about within our review, but we don't have it all like, here's my line, you know?
Well, that's the thing is it seems like you guys work in this really interesting partnership, obviously with you bringing on camera and knowledge and him being the videographer and all these different things. But then even like watching the Apocalypse review you'd put up, I noticed like, you'd hear him say something, you'd be like, oh, right, blah, blah, blah. Like he's just so great at like, I'm assuming you guys talk about this beforehand. And then because I know how many times I get into a review where I'm talking, and it's over and we put it up and I'm like, Wait,
Fuck, I didn't say
talk
that
about
thing
this.
I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yes.
So to have somebody there who isn't like that worried about that, but knows where you want to go, that seems really helpful.
No, he's an amazing creative partner. I mean, he makes me look a lot and sound a lot better than I do. So just saying, he's like, I'm really lucky to have him as a fucking creative partner because that dude's ridiculous. He's kind of like and I mean, I don't want to like. He's kind of the Jack Kirby to my Stan Lee, a little bit. But like, I'm not gonna be an asshole like Stan Lee and like take all the credit. Hence why I'm talking about him right now and like say like he's.
This isn't a Bob Kane, Bill Finger situation.
Yeah,
okay.
no, like he's half of the show. There would be no show without him. And so all that brilliant editing. That's something that kind of a lot of people take for granted. Is like, oh, like you're so great. You get up there and talk, and yeah, I do my thing. But really, it's in the editing because like he edits that stuff together with such a nice. Smooth like rhythm and flow. I mean, it's just like I don't know. I like when I can sit in the little director's chair and watch him edit and be like, no, like put this here, and then we kind of just go back and forth. It's very much synthesized.
That's the production of it, and that's really cool.
The both of us.
That's my favorite thing about your channel and your content is I think that it's very unique, especially in the YouTube landscape, where it isn't like just sitting there talking about X-Men is not that. Interesting of an idea. And like, that's what we do too. But there's a difference with how you do it because there is a production value and there is thought put into it. And especially the bigger pieces, especially the Game of Thrones history pieces and the X-Men documentaries, like they're documentaries. Like there was a lot, like the B-roll, every single thing you say, there is the exact thing you're talking about being shown and the transitions and just there's effort being put into it in a very real way that I think sets it apart from everything else. And it makes it, I always feel like I'm learning, it could be a comic I've read a bunch of times or seen the movies or whatever, but the way you guys present the real content, it's like very impressive.
Thank you. I don't know if you guys watch Silicon Valley at all.
Oh yeah.
But there's just like a part where Guilfoyle was just like, I just can't do shit work, and like that's Tyson. Like he just like he has to make it. To the point where even I'm like, dude, like for real,
it's
like
good enough.
Well, like right now, like we did our Patreon, we hit our first goal, so we're gonna rebrand our live show. We've been doing this live show where we talk about BS movie news that's going on and whatever else, and so he's like, I want to make a giant Hollywood Hill mountain, and it's gonna be like chicken wire, and it's got plaster bandages, and it's being painted, and we even went to the little train store to get like little fake grass, and like I was being such a bitch to him yesterday about it. I was like, how much is this costing us? Like, oh my God. And then it's getting bigger and bigger. It's like, I'm like the asshole producer that says no to everything. And then he's the crazy director.
That's the thing. You gotta, we've noticed this with our stuff too, is like, as long as there's one person playing producer and one person playing director, you're going to make good content because it's like the crazy ideas are being put out there, but you're also being realistic about it. Yeah. So that's awesome.
Yeah, no, I just, it's so funny. I just ordered this house to caterpillar dog figurine that some random artists are making. Electric Fang, I think, is their deal at Electric Fang. And T-Bone was like, hey, like, I want to take him and put him on the mountain, put the caterpillar dog. I'm like, no, like, this is my collectible. Like, not everything goes to this goddamn show. Like, nothing's sacred.
Yeah,
like,
this is a bad example right now because this is here, but this stuff is that we switch out the thing back here with all sorts of collectibles, and it's all my stuff. And like, so lots of my stuff started living in this room. Yeah. And now that we're moving to the nice studio where maybe we don't need those collectibles, I'm suddenly just gonna have armfuls of garbage. Like, where do I put all of this?
I know. Like, we should have a giant garage sale. Like of just like old props and shit.
Well, these you can't see, the audience can't see them. These shelves over here we put up, like I put up one weekend because we were gonna originally shoot Colin and Greg live against that wall, and then we never shot that way. So now there's just all this random shit, these pouch up shoes and all this other stuff. Oh, Kevin's taking a photo. What a smart guy. Yeah. Where we store everything we don't need when it's just like, this is the life we live now.
No, I mean we've got like in the studio we have like a studio apartment that also has a studio in it. But yeah, it's like we've got those Martha Stewart cubes or those 9x9 things that are super cheap. We've got them like stacked up like 8, not like it's like 8 or no, it's like I don't know. We have like 12 of those fucking things or something, and like it's just filled with like comics and books and movies and little toys and everything else.
All the random shit you pick up.
Yeah. I said, I should probably do a purge at some point. I'm like, I need to.
Patreon perks, man.
I know.
Yeah. Then you got to mail them out. You know how to do that.
Oh yeah, no. I've just been mailing out some stuff to super patrons, but I put in a special. I went to the comic book store. Yeah. And I got like new #1 issues of like comics that I've been liking, and so I signed it and I sent it and I put it in there with a little note and like was like, hey, like read this comic. Because a lot of people don't really read comics.
I know it sucks. It's scary.
I know.
We'll talk about that soon. Though.
I know.
Yeah, don't look at
Okay.
no, don't look at it. Don't look at it at all.
All right.
Kevin, now I know you're a big fan
Uh-huh.
of 19, and I can tell because you have not once yelled at her to get closer to the microphone. And
I'm
you are
sorry.
so
I'm the worst.
You're
I'm
so-
the worst.
Have you? Here's
I'm the
I just want
worst.
everyone to know that Kevin on his phone, he has somehow
He's dialed
the
into the board.
soundboard is on his phone.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Right
he's all
there.
set. That's
Dude,
it. You're a pro
that's sick.
producer. Pro
That's
producer.
sick.
It's pretty cool.
I'm very impressed with you,
Very
Kevin.
All right.
happy
I'm
with
gonna
it.
be real cozy with this mic.
We're getting you.
What do you want to
Okay.
know? We're getting. I think we're getting you.
I don't know. I wasn't prepared to be sitting here. Like,
You
I
weren't?
don't- No, not at all.
So what's happening? It's funny you're talking about your guy T-Bone.
Yeah.
All tied up in the studio business.
Yeah.
That's where our Nick is.
Mhm.
Colin, of course, on vacation. You knew that was going to happen. But Nick, was going to make this show because he's a fan as well, and he can't because he's trying to launch our new studio and get it up to code and get it. Up to speed.
Yeah. That's the dream, man.
I know.
I would,
I know.
oh.
It's hard for me to contemplate that we're in the final month or month and a half or whatever.
Yeah.
It's gonna, maybe 2 weeks,
Yeah.
whatever the hell it's going to end up being that we're in this place for the final.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another thing with you is like you guys use sets in a way that a lot of other like YouTube channels don't do, and you've been doing that forever. And I always thought that was really impressive because it's like you create a sense of like you were talking about how deep you go into the content. I think that when you watch even a couple of years ago the show, having the comic books behind you, it looked like it was designed. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I think that really adds to I need to take this seriously. You know, because if it was just you sitting talking to the camera, it doesn't have that same kind of vibe or feel. So that's really cool that like you guys have that aesthetic down.
Yeah, and I mean, T-Bone and I we both went to art school. Like, I mean, we both have color theory. Like, we know all this stuff. So, like, we like to make stuff. I mean, we made a cardboard RoboCop outfit. So, like, I don't know, we get down, we get crazy. We like some arts and crafts time. So it's like, and I'm so glad that we have those skills. And that's the thing. It's like, you have to be able to kind of do everything, in this line of business. You have to do your own marketing and you have to do your own shooting. You have to do everything. And, he's gotten like my makeup skills have even gotten way better over the past few years. But yeah, so yeah, the sets and the backgrounds and stuff, that's always been something that's very important to Tyson to make everything look really nice because he realizes that.
Yeah.
He wants people to take it seriously. But people don't always realize that it's just like.
They don't, but that's the thing though, is like even if they don't realize how much work goes into it,
Yeah.
I think that subconsciously they can tell there's a difference,
Yeah.
And I think it's like good editing. You don't notice when things are edited well.
Exactly.
You only notice when they're bad,
Yeah. Yeah. It's like good makeup,
Yeah,
Same
exactly.
thing, same
exactly.
thing. You gotta have that artist touch,
So when you're doing tattoos
Yeah.
and you start this, you don't think it's going that place.
Yeah.
Now that you're here, though,
Yeah.
you are the face of YouTube.
Yeah, sure.
What's? I mean, you just did this Marvel show, so you're doing this
Mm-hmm.
hosting stuff outside of just doing the 19 stuff. What is your plan for the next 5 years? Where do you see all this going?
Well, I like to let the universe have a little bit of room to work because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the universe has bigger plans for you than you have for yourself. So I don't want to like pin anything down particularly, but I mean, I'm open to a lot of different avenues. Here's the thing, okay? You just gotta like wait for your like that little peek in the door and then you can just you
Run
just
through
rush
it.
in. And so I'm just always like waiting for like whatever the next opportunity is going to be. But we have our own production studios. It's called 19 Productions. And so, I mean, one of my dreams would be to grow that into a fully functional production studio with more than just 2 people running it and have a real studio and have people that we pay to work for us and edit and do things. And then be able to just produce more content on a larger scale.
Sure.
That's like definitely one thing. I mean, I'd love to make movies. I'd love to make TV shows. I'd love to make like weird online content, like whatever it is.
Mhm.
I just want to make more stuff. And, I enjoy hosting. I really like hosting. I'm going to do more of that, and see kind of where that takes me.
Sure.
But also, it's like I was thinking actually in the car this morning about how, I'm really sad with horror films and I'm like, God, I'm just gonna have to make a horror film, And like, I mean, if I'm gonna make a horror film, I'm gonna star in it and like I was like, maybe I could be a vampire lady or something, and I was just like, oh,
I feel like you make a pretty good vampire lady.
I think I would too. And I was trying to like think of something to like, but vampires are kind of played out a little bit, but I don't know.
No,
I mean,
You can
they're
bring 'em
due.
back.
They're due. Yeah.
Well, maybe they are. I don't know. Everything moves so fast.
exactly.
But, yeah.
I think Twilight watered them down. So
Yeah,
it needs to
a
bring
little
it back hardcore.
It's hardcore.
Hardcore
Yeah.
vampire stuff.
Yeah, some LA vampire
Exactly.
business.
There you go.
I got this one girl that's like, I kind of want to be like, hey girl, you want to write a weird horror movie with me? She's got a shaved head, I got a shaved head. Like, It'd be pretty awesome.
Now, do you know the girl, or is it just you've seen her with a shaved head like
No,
Starbucks?
I know her.
Okay,
I know
okay.
her. Yeah, Dylan Meyer. Yeah, she seems cool. There's a lot of people that I'm like just like waiting. Like I know all these. Being in LA is so awesome because there's so many creative people.
Yeah.
So like I love meeting all these new creative people and like trying to figure out ways to work with them
Sure, yeah,
eventually.
sure.
Where it's like, how can we work on a cool project and have fun together?
We know this one dork named Max Landis. We could introduce you to him.
Yeah.
Of course, you'd like, hey, I have this
yeah.
idea for a vampire movie. He's like, that's interesting. Then tomorrow he'd hand you the script. You're like, this isn't what I wanted to write it with you.
Yeah.
It's like, that's done though.
Yeah, I know Max.
I know you know.
I know Max. He's an interesting character. He is.
That's one way to put it.
He's Max.
He's Max, and he had his like very first Comic-Con panel about like Dirk Gently, and he got
Yeah.
to be on it, and I was like, I'm so proud, you know, just like keep going, Max, because he really is a super talented guy.
Yeah, definitely.
So before we switch topics, I almost missed this question, which
Okay.
would have been foolhardy. What's the origin of your name?
Oh,
That was the
God.
question
Girl
that you
19.
totally cut me off for, Greg.
Well, seeing as how
Oh.
she hadn't answered mine, maybe you should sit down and learn from the master
Ooh.
interviewer. Did you ever think of that?
No.
You're not even drinking bourbon. Just keep drinking your coffee,
Oh,
you
man.
jerk.
Smells good though.
It is
You know, this thing is,
kind of loud.
a lot of times I have really cute stories for a lot of things, but this one I feel like is gonna be a super letdown. It was just like we were just like dicking around on Google and we're like, what's free and available, and just trying different combinations
Sure.
of different things. And somehow, I don't know, we just stuck with Comic Book Girl 19. And I will say for the 19 number in the Dark Tower series, the 19 is the number of Ka. It's like a really big deal in the Stephen King universe.
Sure.
So it's got that association for me. And also it is, I'm into the tarot. I read the tarot cards and stuff. And so, 19 is the Sun card in the Major Arcana, which is the card of universal endorsement and doing what you love, and like, it's awesome stuff. It's like really positive. So if you watch Mad Men, at the end of Mad Men, Matthew Weiner's company, Weiner Bros, it has the 19 card. So it's like, oh, you know. And then
Yeah.
I see you, Mad Men. Like, I'm on to you, pal.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That wasn't a bad story at all. You had a good story. You're all worried about it.
Wow.
We know all about trying to find names on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
We were almost mouth pudding
Yeah. Oh, really?
instead of kind of funny.
No.
You know,
That's
I know
awful.
I can't be Comic Book Girl 19 forever, you know. But it's like when you make that transition.
Eventually, you will. Yeah, you
know?
will become comic book woman 19.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I already feel that, but you know, I don't know. I had a thing about my name, like, I don't know if I want to do my last name or like pick another last name, but then I don't know. I feel like it's kind of already out there, but you know.
Yeah, that just recently happened, right? It was some article that put your name on. Because I saw you say somebody said on Twitter, like, "Oh, now I know your name." You're
God
like, "Yeah, I'm
damn
not
it.
thrilled about that."
God damn it, AOL. Yeah, like
AOL.
I know, so silly.
Well, that's what's even cooler is that you got quoted in the New York Times as Comic Book Girl 19.
Oh yeah. Well, no, they. I think they did say Comic Book Girl 19, but
Yeah.
they also said my name.
Oh,
in
yeah,
that,
I
too.
only saw the
But
Comic
they
Book
said
Girl.
my full name, which made me sound like some sort of like serial killer or something. Like, why is it 3 names? Like, what? And so AOL picked that up too, and then they
Yeah.
started doing it because the New York Times did it, and then I was like, oh. You guys, like, it's a secret identity.
You blew it.
But it's not so secret. At least I got a sweet name.
Your secret's safe with us.
Yeah. I'll, you know, my name's Danica. I wish I could just go by Danica and not have a last name.
You could though. You could just say that. That's-
You
I mean,
know,
one day that's what
that's-
Prince said. That's what Cher
Yeah,
said.
I know.
Just
That's
People
what I think
believed him.
about all the
Yeah.
time. Madonna, it's just
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's just one thing. There's not a lot of Danicas running around. And the only ones there are, they already have last names.
Yeah, Danica Patrick. That you
or
think of her.
Danica McKellar.
Never heard of her.
She was
Winnie.
Winnie on the Wonder Years.
No way. I'm sorry that I know her as Winnie, and when she popped up on West Wing, I was like, Winnie's on this show? I'm sorry, I don't know her name.
Yeah.
I know she has a theorem named after her or whatever.
She does.
Yep.
That's exciting stuff. I don't.
No, me neither. No, way too stupid for that. Topic number 2. You're here, 19, so we want to make use of you.
Yeah.
Will comics be around forever? Discuss, everyone.
Okay.
I worry.
Really?
I do. I think comics in some form will be around forever. But I think, you know how we are all excited, or you and I were excited about Rebirth?
Yes.
You don't care about DC.
No.
I'm
Well,
not
no,
a
I don't
fangirl.
care. I mean, it's not really DC. It's just I don't care about events.
Sure. I was excited because they were bringing back My Superman and they're doing all these different things.
Right.
And I was like, all right. And I like the idea of this, their new Superboy and all this different stuff. They were ditching stuff I didn't like about New 52.
Yeah.
I guess I could look at it right now, but I won't. There's the 2 Superman books going right now, right? And the one that's focused on just him and the family, I think is really well done. And then the one right now that's been going on with him, it's every other week. It's him fighting Doomsday, this whole thing going on. It is literally just punching every issue.
Oh man.
And I'm like, man,
like the Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I like the, they're giving me what I want. And here's this, I think it's Action. That's the one based on the family, but I could be completely off on that. And Superman's the one that's like him fighting Doomsday over and over again. And all these like, why is Clark Kent here? And what's going to happen? But it's like, I finish them and I don't feel fulfilled. I'm like, this is very much a comic that's meant to be, you jump into it, you read it, you burn through it, and you're done with it. And is that wrong? I don't know. I have to talk about video games, which we're known for, this whole like, silly putty, there's something for everything. If you want the story of Clark being a dad to Jonathan and how does this all work out, there it's over there. You can go get that. But it makes me worry about what the foundation of comics really is.
Yeah, well, it's been, I mean, the whole business model's been really worrisome lately, I feel like, because, and this is Marvel and DC, I'm fair and balanced here. They keep, they want to get new readers in, right? Because all the movies are doing really well. New people come in. Okay,
Can't
great.
hear that.
Whatever. They're whispering to themselves. They don't want you to hear it either. And then they want people to come in. So then they're like, well, comics are really esoteric. They're really hard to get into. And if you're up to issue 300, somebody might not pick it up because they're like, I'm not going to know what's going on. Yeah. And they don't understand the concept of like, just dive right in. That's the whole deal. Like, it's fine if you don't know what's going on. It's just a comic book. It's fine. Just dive right in. And so they keep doing these new #1s, these relaunches and whatevers. And like, they do it it seems like every
year.
Like,
it's like maybe like a year and a half.
I was gonna say, it feels like they're off an off cycle, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like when DC does it and then Marvel does it. And
Is it? I mean, they feel like they're nipping at each other's
you figure
heels.
New 52 flipped out New 52 did rebirth in they were into the 40s, so like 46 weeks, something like that of New 52 before they did it.
New 52, I mean, most of them hit 52.
Did they? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Batgirl did. Batman.
That's what I'm trying to say.
50.
So 52 weeks. Okay.
Yeah. So that was 52, and then also Marvel did the same thing, where Marvel had all new Marvel line,
and
Marvel
then now,
then Marvel now.
It's all new, all different.
Yeah. So I got them backwards.
The thing I always say that I want, and I love comics that are well thought out. In like, love them or hate them, the Earth 1 books DC does, the Superman, the Batman, now Wonder Woman or whatever, I usually think are good, and I enjoy the story because it's like, all right, here's 128 pages or whatever it is of one story, and it's we have time to burn, whereas like monthly issues have to cram so much in every time that like I never feel like I'm getting a great story out of them. Not never, I should say, but most of the time. So I'm always saying what I want is that that I would love to see continuity blown up in some shape or form, and then have it just be where there are things like American Alien, where it's like, all right, cool, Max Landis has an idea, he has 9 issues, here he goes, and he's off. And then if he ever wants to come back and do a follow-up to that and continue in that universe, more power to him.
Yeah.
But otherwise it is, all right, cool, now Jim Lee and Scott Snyder want to go do a Batman book, so let's go and do it.
So you want a more contained
right, because I think if you have focus, that's the difference, where it's like when it's so spread out and you're trying, especially when it's like, Batgirl Burnside was so good for the beginning, and then even when they had to start bringing in like Death of the Family things, and they tie like all these different crossovers and shit. It's like, what is going on?
And it was so weird. Where it was like, all right, pause. We're gonna go over here, and then they never explain it right, so it's so awkward.
I know. I hate that. I hate that they keep doing, and that's what I hate about events and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like
Events
I'm so
suck.
tired of them ruining the comics that I'm enjoying because now they have some stupid thing where they're trying to just sell more comics to like some people who don't even really read comics, and it's like you're kind of fucking over your audience a little bit, Like, one thing that really like bums me out at Marvel is the fact that, okay, so Marvel they were going to go under like many, many years ago before Disney bought them. And so they sold a lot of their IPs to all these different studios, right? And like Fox and Sony and
X-Men, Spider-Man,
all that stuff. Great. And so now, they still don't have the rights back to the X-Men. And that's like, I mean, the X-Men is like, has the, like that Jim Lee X-Men #1 deal has like, it's like the #1 biggest selling comic of all time. Like X-Men has like been their bread and butter, for a long time. And so now because Fox has the rights to them and then Disney owns Marvel now, Disney thinks on a higher level, and Disney's like, well, we can't help these people, and like we need to push the Inhumans, and we don't have the X-Men, so we just need to get rid of them, and we're going to push the Inhumans because that's what we have the IP for. And on a business level, I totally get it. But on the fan level, I'm like, so what you're telling me is what you're going to do is when you do reboot your deal with all new, all different, like now there's the the Mpox that's happening, that's from the Terrigen Mists, the literal Terrigen Mists that the friggin' stupid Inhumans use. It bombed, got in the atmosphere, and it kills and sterilizes mutants. And so they're like killing off the X-Men just because they sold an IP.
But they'll get them back one day, and then
One
it's the
day.
same thing like Fantastic Four. Like, oh, you're gonna make a shitty movie? The book's canceled,
now-
and everyone's like, damn.
Crazy.
Well, it's like I'm getting bad X-Men movies and bad X-Men comics now, and it's like, dang, like that sucks
Double tap
for me.
Double tap
like,
to your fandom.
Although I will say though, I'm super excited that Dazzler has escaped. Kind of, she's been over at A-Force, so she's not on the X books. So she's actually like has a good writing team and like artist team, and everybody's doing really great with her. And although she does have the Mpox, and she may die from
One day when it's convenient.
Yeah.
When they're ready.
We'll see. I don't know. I haven't read the whole story, but that sort of stuff though is kind of like, that's the kind of decision like corporate decision making that's
That
going
sucks and
on, and
ruins
it's
everything.
like I don't know, and it made me like the whole Secret Wars thing like. It made me stop reading Marvel comics
Dude,
for like a year.
Me too. Like I'm so over it. Like I was so into so many things they had going on. Like the Spider-Man comics, Superior Spider-Man. I was all about
good.
that. It was so
Really
good.
good.
That ends, and the Spider-Man they had after that, I was like still super sold on once Peter was back. And then the Secret Wars happened, and then it's like Peter Parker is a billionaire now, and it's like you're making him Tony Stark, and that doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't. Yeah.
Like I'm so not into it now.
I know.
Well, that's what I mean. It's fun when they have the latitude, I guess, to go out there and do different things, right? Like I liked Superior Iron Man. Like when Tom Taylor came over and started writing that, and it was like, all right, cool. Tony's in San Francisco now. He's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, cool. But everything ends, everything changes, which is always the
Which is fine, but again, I feel like the end and the change needs to be the end.
Right.
And what they
and this
do
would
here,
if you did what I'm talking about, right? Where you're like, you have 12 issues. We're still gonna put them out monthly, but tell one story.
because the problem here is there's still leftover characters like Anna Maria from Superior Spider-Man. She's now in this, but it's like she's now dealing with a character that's a different Peter Parker entirely.
Right.
So that's where it gets weird. What you're talking about is awesome, but I think the problem is once that happens, they never let go. So they keep coming back, and then it gets to the point. Then we just have a whole other universe to deal with, like Ultimate Series.
Well, I mean, that's
right?
the whole thing is that it would be. I think that would be the point. Is like that it is a universe every time, unless you clearly want to state it in the beginning of the book what universe you're operating in, right? Like if I come in and I'm going to tell a Batman story and I want to tell it in the Landis verse or whatever, and then I have to make sure that in the very first few pages or sentences or whatever, they understand that is from that. And obviously publicity, I could get out and say that too, but for a reader who's just picking it up off the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, I think a smart thing, and I don't know if other people have done this, but like maybe have like a required reading list. There's
Sure.
a recommended
Right.
reading list that like the first page has that. Because I mean, that's really how we
Yeah,
got into
so-
comics is
so hard.
looking at Wikipedia and being like,
Yeah.
how do we do this? And with him, he hits me up. He's just like, I'm not reading this series unless you give me the reading order.
Yeah.
You know, and then once I do, then it's easy. Then you can understand. It's like, oh, all right, I need to read this fucking event and that fucking event.
Yeah,
and
make it
whatever.
easy on me, man. You know? And this new #1 stuff, like it even makes it really confusing for new people because they're like, oh, I have new #1 Captain Marvel from a year ago, and then there's this one, and then like which one's which, and
Yeah.
And that was the funny. I don't know if you caught it. The a CNN headline the other day. Brie Larson gets announced as Captain Marvel, and the headline was on CNN: Shazam! Brie Larson announces Captain Marvel,
no.
and of course everyone on Reddit was like fucking tearing CNN apart. It's like, really? Because it's
Shazam?
the same fucking character, and if I didn't know what the fuck was going on and Googled that, I'd be like, oh, okay, that's what happens. That's I wouldn't be like up their ass about it. Like,
Yeah.
you can't expect everyone to have somebody who knows the difference between these two people.
Yeah.
yeah.
But Tim, will comics be around forever?
I think that they will, definitely in some form. I mean, forever is a very long time.
Sure.
So I don't know, forever. But I mean, I don't see them going away. Like I can't imagine a breaking point where they're done.
Yeah.
I think that they might be scaled back, but I also think that in the same way, we've talked about this a million times with TV shows or music or movies or whatever, the Netflix model, you know, the VOD, the get what you want when you want it, whatever. We're seeing that with comics. Like independent comics are bigger than they've ever been,
100%, yeah.
to the point that when people talk about comics nowadays, if you're a comic reader, there's just as much a chance you're talking about Image as you are Marvel or DC.
Well, Image is killing it. Like I always when I sit down and I talk about like when people are like, recommend comics for me, it's rare that I recommend an ongoing superhero book from Marvel or DC. It's always like, well, you know, I love Saga starts is really, really well done. Sex Criminals might hit this thing. I love Walking Dead. Invincible's great if you get you just get to the twist in the beginning and then you'll be hooked. But that's the whole thing, I think, in the fact that Image is the one pushing the boundaries of storytelling. And that's why I think they'll be around for forever. But I worry about, like, especially as you see Marvel getting sold to Disney, DC underperforming at the box office and all these different things. Like we made some joke today on Colin Moriarty Live about DC versus Marvel movies or whatever. And would there be a crossover? I remember somebody asked, would there be another crossover between DC and Marvel? It's like, yeah, clearly one day there probably will be. But then it's also, and somebody's like, yeah, when Disney buys DC, and I'm like, could totally see that happening. I could 1,000% see that happening.
Yeah,
that would be the worst thing.
Can you imagine? And they just put it under one umbrella.
Oh man, what a nightmare.
Yeah,
that's a continuity nightmare.
Yeah,
exactly,
for sure.
exactly.
But I think that what you're saying is probably the right way to go, but that means it's not going to happen. Sure. You know, and I just feel like it's hard to please everybody though, because people like continuity. You know, I like having a rich story, and I like being able to read it and want to know, to go back and figure out how it goes. But the problem is keeping all of that, you know, canon, keeping everything consistent.
And having the same writer and artist team for
That's
more
huge.
than like 6 months.
Yeah, 6 issues is like, if you get more than that, you're lucky. You know, but that's the problem is like, once that team leaves, end it. You know, stop it, move on to a new team. Give it a different feel and vibe, but like don't continue it. Yeah.
We keep talking about Batgirl Burnside, right? Where it's like, yeah, I loved Batgirl Burnside from Batgirl 35 on, right? And it was that thing of like, now it's done and she's moving out of Burnside, but she's keeping that costume and she's doing all this. And it's like, but is that going to be the same vibe at all?
Not at all.
If it's not Babs drawing it, if it's not the writer.
Yeah, I finished that. I finished it last night actually. And it's so funny because it's like the last 2 issues are such a wrap up. It's such like, you could tell they're like, well, you're done. Wrap up the stories you have going because she's leaving. And she literally gets in a taxi. It's just like, I'm leaving, guys. Maybe I'll be back one day. She's not going to be back one day. Like we're going to take a couple rebirths and then maybe. But yeah.
Kevin, are comics going to be around forever?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I actually, I enjoy Invincible quite a bit. And like, I always go and buy it at the store that's going to be under our office.
Yeah. Our new office in like as our sitcom life continues to evolve, our new office is above a comic shop.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
That I
no
love
accident.
That sitcom life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that they are. I think that they're like. I think we're gonna have less of these like weekly issues coming out, and we're gonna see more of what was that one comic you had me read? The Eye something.
Private Eye.
Private Eye.
Yeah, I think more like that, where it's like pay what you want, and then later it gets released and you buy it because it looks cool and you enjoy the, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's the other interesting thing about this whole argument is not even will comics be around forever? Will comic shops and physical media be around forever?
Oh man, I love physical media, but people aren't buying it.
Yeah. You know, every time I go to a new city, and if I have time after, you know, whatever event we're doing, I'll go find the comic shop around there, and it's always mind-boggling. I'm always walking in, I'm like, this shop's awesome, and I browse, and then usually what I'll do is I feel bad, so I'll buy some books and then read them and leave them places with notes on them, and so it's just like, how are comic shops staying in business, period? You know what I mean? Because a lot of times too, when I'm even when I'm like wandering around a Barnes & Noble or a Comic-Con and I see something I really like, I'll take a photo of it or write it down in a notepad to buy it on Comixology when I get home. Because for me, the whole thing was growing up, comics every week. It was like the thing that Dad and I bonded over because my dad's a collector, and so he would take me out and buy me comics, and we, you know, have a conversation about what was going on. Even he had no idea what was going on, and then he'd walk me on Wizard World Chicago all day long and have no idea, but have a great time just because he was spending time with me. And so then when I get to college and money's short, it was like, can't do this anymore. I'll read in the bookstore and then go about my day. And then when we got out, I started picking up trades. That was really when I'm like, all right, cool, I have a job, I can buy trades again. That's when I fell in love with Walking Dead, Invincible, all these different things. And when we moved to San Francisco, it was very much like, I live in a shoebox. And so I did a day where I went out and bought a whole bunch of comics. You know, I think it was when, you know, Superboy was getting all these one-shots or something. I'm a big Superboy fan. I brought them home. And then I just had all these loose issues. And I didn't want long boxes in this tiny ass studio apartment. And I didn't want, and I remember I tweeted for a long time about like go day and date digital DC over and over again. And so when they finally did, that was my time to put up or shut up, where I went all the way back in.
Yeah, I'm a very big fan of physical things. Like when it comes to video games, and like I like to collect. So it's just like digital bothers me, scares me. Having said that, when it comes to comics, I think that the physical nature of them is going to be to their detriment, just in the sense that when it is the monthly, when dealing with trades, I think that makes sense. You know, dealing with the big collections and stuff, that's cool. Monthly is a bit much for that much turnover for so many. You go to a comic book shop, there's hundreds of comics, right? Every month. And then there's the variant covers and the this and the that. And I feel like that entire industry is completely created around the variant cover, around selling the same person 7 copies of one issue just to be able to make the money to make up for all of it. I think that we're going to see that stuff die out. I think the digital obviously is going to, just keep going up. But I think that the more premium physical stuff won't go away. I think there always will be the trades coming out, and like there'll be the more special editions like video games where there's the collector's edition stuff where no matter how long, video games might go digital eventually, but there'll still be some stupid collector's edition.
Sure.
So I think that's where the physical comic book shit's
and that'll
go.
make sense. Like what kills me still is like the price point on physical comics, and that's what's keeping the digital comics at the same thing, which is the same argument we make for video games all the time, right? Once we eliminate GameStop from the equation, it can be that all these games can be sold at a cheaper price point. You can get it cheaper at digital. You can do all these different things. But the fact that even when you're drawing the line at $2.99, the comic is still $2.99 there, and that's when it's always like, what the hell's going on? Whereas I think that I want both Marvel and DC and even Image to this point, and I know Comixology just launched their program, but not as fleshed out, to take a cue from like WWE Network and be like, all right, cool, like here's your subscription plan, get in and get the stuff right as it happens, because it is the whole thing. I'm a Marvel Unlimited guy, but so it sucks when it's like, oh man, the new Iron Man's a girl. I guess I can go buy that issue, or I can, and then it's like, do I wait the 7 months for it to pop up for free? And like, well, I forget about it, because this happens all the time where I'm like, that sounds really interesting. I'll check it out Unlimited one day, and I never do. Because I like Ms. Marvel, right? And I'm so far behind on that.
To end out this topic, let's go around the table. What comics do you really like reading right now? Like, what are some that you would recommend? Because mine, obviously, we've talked about Saga a bazillion times. Sex Criminals is another one that I really like. But also the Star Wars comics overall, I've been loving. Like, I think that specifically the Star Wars and Darth Vader lines, those are fantastic. A couple of the spin-off ones, like the Princess Leia was a little iffy, Chewbacca was a little iffy, but I highly recommend them. Ninja Turtles, best incarnation of Ninja Turtles of all time by IDW. So, yeah.
You go. I'm looking at my list here.
All right. Let's see here. Off the top of my head, I would have to say I've really been enjoying The Vision over at Marvel. It's really weird. It's like American Beauty plus Vision, where he's living in the suburbs and made himself a weird Vision family. And like there's like shenanigans going on, and there's like a murder being covered up, and then like the neighbor's dog like dies and like gets killed, and he like ends up like taking this dog's like brain, the neighbor's dog, and then like transplanting it, making it into a Vision dog for his own family, and it's just like weird Frankenstein stuff going on. So that one's been really good. I love Doctor Strange because I really just, instead of following titles, I have to follow the artists and the writers.
Smart. Yeah. That's real smart.
So I love Jason Aaron, and Jason Aaron is writing Doctor Strange. And so he's been doing this big Last Age of Magic thing that I've been really enjoying a lot. Also A-Force with Dazzler in it, because I love Dazzler, and she's the best. And Ben Caldwell is like drawing her, and it looks like me. So I'm just like, oh. But yeah, I've been loving that one a lot. But over on the Image side, I just found this one called Monstrous, and it's like so cool. It's like these
What's it about?
It's like this girl writer and this fucking chick artist, and they are just making the coolest looking comic. The cover is like, you know, a lot of times you see a cover, and you're like, that's a great cover, and you look at the inside, and
no, that's not the same.
This is not the case.
Oh,
like,
really? All right.
like, this is like, the cover's like, whoa, and you open it up, and you're like, whoa. And it's like this kind of fantasy Akira type, like almost Vampire Hunter D parasite-ish situation going on, where this girl, we live in this world where there's humans, and then there's these kind of arcanum, these mystical peoples that kind of look like either wolf people or elk people or whatever. You know, there's all sorts of little cute kitsunes and stuff like that. So yeah, and you have this one girl, and she's got this ancient one Cthulhu thing kind of living inside of her, and he pops out of her like missing arm sometimes, and like drains people and eats. I don't know, it's crazy.
Sounds awesome.
And yeah, so I've been really enjoying Monstrous a whole lot.
Have you read Snot Girl yet?
Not yet.
Oh,
everyone talks about Snot Girl. I haven't
definitely
read it
read
yet.
Snot
I've been
Girl.
waiting for that to come out. I think it came out today, didn't it?
Oh, is it today?
Yeah,
Okay.
there was an early preview thing that was out last week, but yeah,
You're so popular.
that's Brian
Tim knows comics.
Lee
so
O'Malley.
well.
He's
Yeah.
out. No, I just know him. That's it. Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah. No, I want to check that one out.
So for DC right now in this Rebirth stuff, the one I'm enjoying is Superman. Action is the one that's continuing to just go on and on. I just like to see. I'm such a sucker for it. Of like my Clark and Lois are back, and my Superman's back, and now they have a kid, and they're still happily married, and like this kid has powers, and they're trying to figure all that out, which is super fascinating. Of course, American Alien, if you want an amazing Superman comic. New Superman by Gene. Remember when Gene came through? When we did the whole thing here. He's got his own now called New Superman. That's still set in that universe, but it's over in China, right?
He was on NPR recently talking about it.
It's one of those things where it's like I read issue 1. I didn't like think it was amazing, but it was still fun of like learning this new character, what's going on, how is he gonna get superpowers. It happens very fast. It is another book that I think is very like not kiddie, but like it's like he's a dick to this guy, and he gets famous for doing it because he yells at a supervillain, and then people show up like, we're gonna give you powers, and he gets powers by the end of the book. You're like, this is all happening real quickly, but like whatever. I enjoyed the ride. I like where it's going. I want to see more about it. Image stuff as usual is always the same. I like Paper Girls a lot. Paper Girls continues to be good, I think. I like Sex Criminals. I'm more into Invincible than I was for a while.
Me too.
I feel like I have ebbs and flows with Invincible quite a bit.
This last arc has been, I caught up last night. It's been really good. Like this is the first time in a long time that I'm actually excited for next month. Like, I wonder what's going to happen.
Sure. Well, they're back to that whole thing of like, I think what makes that book work so well of just like, okay, cool. It's this, that, and the other, but it's like, I want to know about Mark and Eve. Can I learn about Mark and Eve? Like, okay, cool. And like, we're back to that thing where like, again, there's like this super interesting conflict for them right now of like, what does that do? But it's always so weird with Invincible, the way they deal with what I feel is like normal human relationship things, but it's on this epic, we're in space and there's all these aliens and you have superpowers. And that's fascinating the way they do that. I'm a big fan of that right now. I
also love where Walking Dead is right now.
See, I'm not like you in that day. You're like, oh man, did you read the latest issue? And I read it. I was like, oh yeah, that's cool. Like I don't know. Like Walking Dead is always going to be my proof of like a book I love and I love so much. But the way I got introduced to Walking Dead was 2 trades in. My friend Bob came into the Missourian over in Columbia. He was like, you need to read this, and gave me him. And I went home and plowed through him like, this is awesome. And so then every time a new trade came out, because I wasn't buying singles, I bought the trade, but I'd read, if it was issue, trade 3, I'd go back and read 1, 2, and then read 3. And then now it's to the point I can't do that. And I'm also reading singles, and it's all, I've never liked, once they switched art styles, I've never been a huge fan. And so it is so weird to be reading it like, who is this again?
Yeah.
Like who is like Dwight has his face got ironed. I'm like, that's easy to remember Dwight.
But everyone else looks identical.
So many other people. I'm just like,
there's a panel from a couple issues ago where it looks like Rick was saving Rick from beating up Rick. It's like that's awesome. But yeah, no, I think that the thing of that show, or the show and the comic, is that it is just the same thing over and over. So if they're not adding that unique twist of the bad guy doing something different, then it is just going to be the exact same thing. And I think that what they're doing right now surprised me, where I'm like, oh, it's not going to be what we all thought it was going to be.
Sure.
So I commend them for that.
Shout out before I go to all new Wolverine. I like Tom Taylor so much after everything he did with Injustice that I'm way behind now. I think X-23 just like took care of the original whole clone thing that was happening with it.
Yeah, I'm behind on that as well.
Okay. Yeah. Were you enjoying where you were?
I was enjoying it, but I was also like on the fence, and I've just been so sad about everything. It's just, I don't know.
They're taking your people to town for sure.
They really are.
I don't think I have any Marvel comics that I'm ongoing reading right now.
I still buy Spider-Gwen.
I do too, but
can't
I'm
give
not.
up. I know.
Yeah, I'm behind. I don't. Spider-Gwen is it. I want to like it more than I do.
That's the problem. And you made the great point of like they're trying to do Batgirl Burnside, but they're not doing it as well.
Yeah,
that was the big thing. But now that there's no Batgirl Burnside, I have no choice. I gotta support that.
We'll see.
Kevin, what are you reading?
The only thing I'm reading right now is Invincible. Like I've fallen out of comics, and like the only reason
you've let down the family.
But like, I mean, Tim will always like grab me and be like, no, read this. And he'll give me like a list of what I should read. And I usually do that. And it's a good education for, the time being. But right now, all I'm reading is Invincible. I'm enjoying it very much.
Good.
But I do want to read more stuff. Who has the time?
No, not you.
All of you guys.
Well, no.
You make the time. You fit it in. You shove it in when you should be doing other things.
Steve Lichman is one I want to kind of give a shout out to. It was a Kickstarted project. So, and that's another cool thing about like you're talking about the future of comics.
Yeah.
Like with Kickstarter, you can just do a pre-sale now, and I mean, you know how much you need, and so I mean, it's like it's a really great system. And this guy Dan Warren and Dave Raposa, they created a comic book together, and it's hilarious and it's really funny. It's about this Lich King named Steve Lichman, and he hangs out in this dungeon with his like loser friends. and like it's just like there's these bullies that come, it's just like little slice of life things.
Sure.
Where like bullies come in and like make fun of him, and then the ghost cop comes on the scene, is like, they're making fun of you again, Steve. You know, and he's like, no, it's fine, and it's so cute. There's like these little stoner friends, Ben, this like flying eyeball guy who I really like him, and then Mandusa, because he's not a woman Medusa, he's a Mandusa. And then yeah, they have a weird vampire friend, and it's just their misfit adventures, and I really enjoy it a lot.
That sounds great.
Steve Lichtman's awesome.
The last comic that I read that I got super into was American Alien.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't pound the drum enough about American Alien.
Good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Really
no
good.
one watched Max's new show, so he has to go back to comics. Just don't even do it. So he has to keep making comics.
Oh, I think he's got the love in there. He's gonna do some more stuff in comics.
Yeah, he pitched a whole bunch of stuff when he was here, and I was like, if this doesn't happen,
we want that.
Yeah.
You suck and we hate you.
Yeah.
This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace. Whether you need a landing page, a beautiful gallery, a professional blog, or an online store, it's all included with your Squarespace website. Start your free trial today at squarespace.com and enter the... It sounded right to you, right? So you understood that I said squarespace.com, but I said a little sing-songy at the end there, listener/viewer. I apologize. So let's all make sure we're very clear that it's squarespace.com, not con. I don't need that. Kevin, do they have .cons yet? Is that a thing that happens yet, Kevin? Can you have a .con?
I have no idea.
All right, thank you so much. Squarespace.com under the offer code Kinda Funny to get 10% off your first purchase. That's Kinda Funny, all one word. Of course, Squarespace doesn't need a tagline because it's so great, but it used to be build it beautiful, and I always say build it beautiful. But now it could also be set your website apart, but I say build it beautiful. Set it apart by building it beautiful. How about that, Kevin? Kevin, do some research and find out if we can get squarespace.com.
Yeah, it turns out we can't.
Sucks.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe we should build a website on squarespace.com. We're using the offer code Kinda Funny about how we should have squarespace.com.
Yep.
Topic 3. You're here.
Yeah.
Comic Book Girl 19.
Yeah.
Introduction. If somebody's just, they skip the other topics. Now they know who you are. It makes sense.
I'm here.
You know a lot about superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
You critique them over on your YouTube channel.
I do.
I want to talk about what the best superhero movie of all time is.
Of all time.
Right.
I feel like when you say that, there's a couple movies that come to mind.
Batman v
that are gonna
Superman
be,
Ultimate Edition.
No. A couple come to mind that you're like, all right, this is at least,
You want more?
Yeah.
this is going to be the discussion that we have, right?
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2,
Oh yeah.
Avengers, Dark Knight, X2.
Yeah.
X2.
I'm gonna put it out there.
I mean, I'm talking about-
I want to talk about it, but I would always put out Superman 2. Don't get me wrong. Now here, I think the problem with all the Richard Donner Superman movies, and I think Superman 1 in particular, is that it fucks Superman up forever. Period. Great movie, great time. Hey, the guy can rewind time. He's no longer an interesting character. And like, even when they went like Crisis on Infinite Earths, he's not that powerful. Everybody's like, that's that guy that can rewind time. They're like, no, it isn't. It's not the same guy. Like, no, it's the guy who can rewind time. But Superman 2 was great. But I mean, don't get me wrong. Modern standards, it doesn't hold up at all.
Yeah.
I want to fuck Lois. I don't have any powers. Oh God, a whole bunch of people are back and they're gonna fuck everything up.
Yeah.
But it's still great. I want to put it out there. I'm just putting it out there.
I mean, I'm just talking about right now, just like the list of if you were to Google what are the best comic book movies, like the things that every list are going to have are those. Am I missing any? I feel like people really like Guardians of the Galaxy now.
For the record, we're recording this before Suicide Squad, so I'm saying Suicide Squad.
Right.
No, something tells me that's not going to make the list either.
We'll see.
Well, we know.
We'll see.
Do y'all hate Watchmen?
Oh, Watchmen deserves a shout out for sure.
I don't hate Watchmen. I enjoyed Watchmen quite a bit.
I really liked Watchmen.
I really liked Watchmen too.
19?
I think Watchmen's a little problematic. I think that there's certain scenes that I really love. Like there's
They're fucking on the in the Owlmobile or whatever.
Yeah.
With Hallelujah playing.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yes. But even that opening sequence with comedian, getting assassinated. Like, I mean, that was just like ripped right out of the comics, and it was so great. But the problem I have with Scott Snyder is he does a great job of making things
Zack
Snyder.
No, we were just talking about Scott in the last segment. No, I do it all the time.
Get my streams crossed here. Zack Snyder. The problem I have with him is, he makes things look really great. I think he's an amazing director of photography. Yeah. But he doesn't always understand what makes those images powerful, like why they're powerful. Like, for instance, in The Watchmen, there's this one part where, so in the comic book, you see that Bubastis the cat like Ozymandias' cat.
Yeah.
That's like his only friend. Like this guy's like a lonely cat dude, you know, and like that's his only friend.
Lonely cat man.
Like there's even like there's like a Bubastis little action figure. Like I mean, it's a thing, right? It's this dude, and so spoilers, Watchmen spoilers. There's a scene in the end where everyone goes to confront Ozymandias, and then he sacrifices his cat to try to get rid of Dr. Manhattan. And when I was reading that comic, I was like, he killed his cat. Like, and that's the one dude that he loves and that loves him. Like that's his, and like I'm a cat person, so it's like
you get it.
Like I got it, you know.
Do this.
And so you see in the movie though, it's like you never get that sense of like what's like you see it like it's there. He's in the disintegrator with the cat, but it doesn't have that emotional impact because it wasn't set up. You know, so you know it's like I think it looks great, but I don't think it has the emotional impacts. And plus, it just doesn't need to be made into a movie. You know,
I mean, I think that's the biggest problem because what you're talking about is it's hard to nail every single aspect, right? Like I feel like I give Watchmen credit because I think that it nailed enough really well, and I personally like the movie better than the book when it comes to a lot like the end and ending, stuff like that. And that's another thing with we always talk about Kick-Ass. I think Kick-Ass, the movie, did a really good job of nailing the tone and feel of the book, but I actually prefer the movie over the book, even though the book is awesome and I love it.
Oh, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. I prefer the movie over the book on Kick-Ass.
Yeah, because I feel like they captured the vibe, which is the most important part, because you can't directly communicate all the same things that you can when it's just using your imagination on a panel, you know, or even just like the themes and stuff of reading change when you're watching, you know?
Sure.
So shout out to Kick-Ass. I put that up there.
Kick-Ass is a great one.
Yeah, I think you nail it. I mean, in terms of, my pick, and I always talk about this. It's a cheat code, right? It's a cheat. But the best superhero movie or comic book movie of all time is Avengers, and I say it, and I know that it's a cheat because I feel like we had what would it have been, not 6 hours of fucking foreplay before we got there, and then to have it all come together and be. I always talk about it like that is the definitive midnight showing for me of like an audience that's into and I'm not the Marvel guy. Like I only know them from the movies, really, with the exception of Spider-Man. I was a big Spider-Man fan growing up until Clone Saga when I dropped out. And I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, that's
when you fucked up the Peter Mary Jane thing. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go. But I mean, to watch that show and have everybody losing it, I'll never, ever, 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 ever forget when the credits go and then they do the Thanos cutscene and the girl in front of me jumping up and doing the Kermit the Frog arm. Holy shit, I'm like, I just know him as knockoff Darkseid, but I'm glad you're really in this. Like, that's fucking right. But getting to the street with Damon, and we went and saw that midnight showing, and I couldn't stop grinning. And I remember that because there's 3 movies I can think of that have done that, where it was in my lifetime: Avengers with Damon, Spider-Man 2, which I saw when I was I liked Spider-Man 1 so much, even for all its flaws or whatever, and I was ready for Spider-Man 2, and I always hate the origin story movie because I'm like, I got it, just go. So when we get to Spider-Man 2 and it's like he's full-blown Spider-Man, and then she's like, go get him, Tiger. It was like, oh my God, yes, thank you for finally doing everything I wanted you to do in this movie, because that was such bullshit of like, oh, it can't be with this woman, and every movie fucking does it.
Yeah.
I remember leaving the theater because I was doing my internship out in Rockville, Maryland, leaving the theater and calling my girlfriend at the time, and like I had the grin on my face, and like I was like, that movie was awesome. That movie was so much fun. And the other one I was talking about is of Ghostbusters 2 when I was a little kid in the theater with my mom, and like when the logo comes up, I just couldn't stop grinning, and I was like, I want to try. For some reason, I forget what it's 1989. So what, I'm 6 years old. I'm like, I want to play it cool. I don't want to grin like a moron.
Ghostbusters 2 love, because like I've had so many arguments about Ghostbusters 2. A lot of people have a lot of hate, especially director T-Bone. We were always fighting about it. And I was like, no, dude, like they were my friends and I was just happy to see them again. And I love that evil painting and the goo, and I love that you can make the goo happy. Like you can charge it with positive vibes as well as negative vibes, and like, oh, it's so good.
It was funny.
Statue of Liberty.
People always say, "Oh man, Ghostbusters 2 was terrible," and I was like, "It wasn't bad. It was a fun." And then I watched that honest trailer where they're like, "If you're for Ghostbusters 2, like if you're afraid of the new Ghostbusters, if you're afraid of the 2016 Ghostbusters sequel ruining the original, then make sure you forget about the 1989 Ghostbusters sequel." And they go through, they're like, they totally. I never thought about it because I'm not that guy. Like I always talk about it. I don't think I should be on our movie reacts product, right? Because I just don't think analytically about movies like I do about games. And when I'm watching this trailer, they're like, it's the same story. I'm like, no, it isn't. And they go, I'm like, oh, fuck. It's the same story.
It is the same story. But I think that sometimes though when you do it the second time around, you get it tighter, and I felt like I liked it.
It was just totally a move for kids, which they understood their audience.
And that coat, and it came alive on that woman.
Oh yeah,
with little minks.
Something
That's,
strange
so
is
scary. Like I loved it. I don't know.
know.
It got me right
Sure.
here. So
Janosch,
I love
come on.
Ghostbusters too.
I saw him in some trailer for something the other night when we went to see Killing Joke. I'm like, Janosch.
Yeah, I mean,
I love him.
I think Avengers, you're right, is in terms of the best comic book movie, because it is, we're never going to get something that nails comic books in quite that same way. That is such a just melding of, it's the event, you know what I mean? Like, it's the event comic book brought to life, and it had so many moments that made us happy. They did what we wanted. The 360 shot showing everybody off. Oh, man. The shot going through the city of everybody doing their moves and stuff. It's like, I mean, cool.
Every Hulk moment, right? That's my secret. I'm always angry. Poof, and you're like, what the?
Yeah, I know. And they moment after moment in the second half of that movie was just like payoff,
right.
You know?
And then the whole thing of, you know, Tony dying and falling, and then like I was expecting. I feel like it's so rare that comic book movies surprise you. Right, I always talk about it when I was watching Ant-Man, and they kept fucking like focusing on Michael Douglas's tank on his chain. And I leaned over to who I was like, I bet that tank's gonna be important. You know what I mean? It's like when Tony Stark's there and they're all about to give up. I really expect Thor to swing his hammer and call a lightning bolt down, but instead Hulk roars, and it's like this funny moment. It was great, and then the shawarma thing, and then the shawarma. It was like, fuck, you guys get this.
Man, yeah. Well, that's Joss Whedon. I mean, that's the magic of Joss Whedon.
Exactly.
Like, he does get it. He's a real comic book dork guy, and he loves it, and he nailed it, and it was the perfect storm. But unfortunately, like, I don't know. I feel bad for him for Avengers 2.
Yeah.
You know, because I don't think that was his fault. I think that the studio wanted him to do so much crap, and he did everything they wanted him to do, and it wasn't that great because Ultron's kind of boring.
Well, honestly, though, Avengers 2's biggest problem was what we were talking about in the last topic about comic books, in that the events, and we like these comics, and all of a sudden all this shit has to get shoehorned in. So here's a movie that we're enjoying, and all of a sudden Thor's off in a mountain. Right. Why? I don't know. He's in a cave.
Look in the water or
doing
something.
Some stuff in the water.
I'm
sure it's saying something else. And it's like that distracts from the focus. Whereas Avengers, the focus was get them together, do cool shit.
I'm not excited about like Infinity Gauntlet stuff, to be honest, because I feel like it's going to be one of those events where it's just going to like ruin what we already have that's going that we like, and then it's just going to.
This is my problem with I caught a lot of flack with our own audience for Civil War.
Yeah.
Where like I'm not the Marvel guy, and so like I always talk about it. When correct me, you're gonna have to set me straight. Winter Soldier ended with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, right? And my girlfriend.
No, that was Avengers 2.
Was it really? No, they're in Avengers. Hold on. Too.
You're right. Yeah. Captain.
And my girlfriend at the time leaned over. Was like, the lights come up. She's like, "Oh man, who are those people?" At the end, I'm like, "I don't know. Like, I can tell you their names. No idea what their fucking powers are, what their history is." And so like, we're to that point now where it's like, it gets so off in the weeds. Where Civil War, I'm like, I'm just not a Captain America fan, and I can't. And I feel bad about saying that because it's like everybody who's always like Superman's so boring. I'm like, well, that's why Captain America's boring. He does everything you're saying is the same thing. The problem with him, he's just always doing this thing and like so like, I always make this talk about this like we're watching Civil War. And 30 minutes in, I lean over to Tim. I'm like, where the fuck is Spider-Man? I paid for Spider-Man. And then Spider-Man shows up, and it's like, this entire segment, and Ant-Man and everything's amazing. And then they're like, okay, you guys keep fighting. We're gonna go off and do our thing. I'm like, no, don't leave her. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's like now we're to Infinity Gauntlet. Finally, I'm so fucking the Avengers. Oh my God, Thanos. I don't know much about him, but that's really cool. And now I'm just like, fucking Jesus, do something, Thanos. What are you doing?
I know. It's just like, I don't care. And like, I just don't like omnipotent villains. Like, I like things like Civil War a lot better than things like Infinity Gauntlet, whatever, because it's like, it's an internal problem and it's a family fight. And that's why I love the X-Men. And like, I think those are far more compelling, interesting style. Like, you know, ideological discussions are far more interesting to me than I've got a glove that makes me omnipotent. You know, it's just like, well, you know.
Yeah. See, I'm excited for it just because I think that it's the first chance that we're getting to do what Avengers did, which is bring all the characters together for the first time. And I think that Civil War kind of did the mini version of that for the phase 2. But now that we have the Guardians and we're about to get Doctor Strange and like Ant-Man's a bigger thing and all this, like people. Ant-Man is now a thing. He's no longer, people love Ant-Man, but going into it, it's like, I don't know if Ant-Man's going to work. And it's like, well, it worked. So I think
it worked great.
So Infinity War is going to be the first time to see all of them together and to get, Star-Lord talking to Tony Stark and like that, I think is going to have those special moments. And then you need the big bad guy to kind of allow all that to happen. You know what I mean? Like whatever. And it taking forever. I think that is just the culminating story that
it's just that weird thing, I guess, of like, the lead up to Avengers, even when I watched Captain America, I was like, I've never really liked this character. I like this movie. I love Chris Evans. I love this interplay there, the whole Peggy thing, whatever. Like, you fucking get over it, dude. You know what I mean?
Has he gotten laid though yet? Still, like, is he still a virgin?
No, I think he
needs to get laid.
In the next thing, he might have gotten laid.
He's been to World War
I'm going to imagine he got
like,
laid in between, like, what's happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. With what's her face?
I forgot
Peggy's
her name.
cousin,
Susan.
daughter, Susan,
nephew, niece.
Yeah, whatever. But yeah, it's like that's the whole thing. Is I guess even the movie, like I'm not a Thor guy. I have a bunch of picky rules where it's like once you get into space and you're an alien, I'm like, nah, it's hard for me to connect with you.
You're
I don't
not
like
a cosmic
that.
dude, man.
Exactly. But it's like I enjoyed Thor fine or whatever. And so when we get to Avengers, I've enjoyed the ride till now. Whereas now I feel like we're in this gap where I'm like, I'm not really enjoying this ride. Like Doctor Strange, I look at him, just like, I don't.
See, that's so funny because the original movies I felt like were very kind of, I wasn't necessarily enjoying the ride. Like getting in there, Thor surprised me that it wasn't bad.
Yeah.
I went into it thinking it was going to be horrible. Iron Man.
Oh my God,
I think people.
Iron Man 1 is great.
Yeah.
It is great,
so
but I think people look back at it like a little bit, giving it a little too much bonus points. Like I think that it's.
But I don't think
really good.
I don't think it's looking back with bonus points. I think it's looking back with the points you gave it at the time because you came. That was the real one of like Ant-Man. Over everybody's like, nobody cares about Iron Man. Are you fucking kidding me?
True.
And you went in, you watched that movie, and I'll never forget. Again, being surprised. Where again, like I know he's an alcoholic. And I know he got the suit and whatever. And that's all I really knew about Iron Man at the time. And you watch that thing, and he gets to the end for that press conference, and he does the thing, I am Iron Man, and the things.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, that was awesome. Holy fuck, am I excited?
And then Samuel Jackson comes out, and you're like, what? But see, that was cool because that started the conversation in the mainstream of is he talking about Avengers? Is that what this initiative is? Is it who is in the Avengers? Then everyone's Googling it and figuring it out and like, oh, Ant-Man's in the Avengers. How are they going to do it? No, there was conversation happening. But then we got there was the Hulk movie, literally, like, was it like the same week? When I went to see Iron Man, I remember the Hulk was in the theater next to it.
Really?
Really? I don't think that was.
It might have been like a month before, but then.
The Edward Norton?
Yeah.
No.
Wasn't it? I swear.
Wrong.
I swear to God, they were in the theater at the same time. It might have been months off, but I swear.
Did you go to like a shitty dollar theater?
No, it was at the Daly City Theater. Anyways, but the whole movie, it was fine, right?
Yeah,
and then, fine.
Yeah.
Thor, surprising because it wasn't bad. Captain America.
It was all right.
I think Captain America has aged well, where it's like, I think I like it more now than I did then.
Oh, yeah.
But it wasn't until Avengers that I'm like, this is awesome. Here's the payoff. They were all right. I think that the individual movies now are better than they used to be. Like I think there's a couple exceptions, like Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3.
He's not crazy so far. Both came out in 2008. I don't know how
I think the worst thing with that
is
is that like a lot of properties that are coming out have to win people over. Where it's like Ant-Man. Who cares about Ant-Man? And then we watch it and it's like, wow.
I care about Ant-Man.
I care a lot about Ant-Man.
And then Guardians of the Galaxy, it's like the
Guardians,
same thing
man.
where it's like,
killed it.
Who gives a fuck about these people? But then it's like, oh wait, no. Somebody wrote a good story and they made it a good movie and now we're seeing it.
Yeah, it's I think it's
May 2nd for Iron Man, June 13th for Incredible Hulk.
There you go.
That does check
Wow.
out.
There you
That does
go.
check out.
Yeah.
We thought you were an idiot, but you actually had
crazy.
it.
I
No,
can't
still
believe
think he's
that.
an
I
idiot.
really
Welcome to the show, Kev.
But so that's the thing is like we're looking at there's phase 2. I guess now is it now phase 3? When's
I don't even try to keep up.
I
have
don't even
no idea
fucking
how to
know.
keep up anymore.
But it's like with Doctor Strange, that's a perfect example. I don't care about Doctor Strange. I've read all the Ultimate comics, so that's my only kind of, touchstone on his character or whatever. And I don't know how faithful that is to the 616 stuff, but the trailer, I saw the first one, I'm like, all right, I'm as sold on this as I was on Thor. And now I saw the second trailer at Comic-Con, I'm like, I'm a little bit more sold on this.
I haven't seen the second trailer. So
I was like, this might be an Ant-Man. This might be a Guardian. So that's exciting. And I'm pretty damn sure that I'm going to lose my shit seeing Doctor Strange in Avengers eventually, because they're going to do that moment. And it's going to be fucking cool.
Oh, yeah. You're going to need that magic, homie. If you're going to be fighting Thanos and all that nonsense, you're going to need a
some
Sorcerer
shit.
Supreme on your team.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But I got to give the shout out to Dark Knight. I know we talk about it so much in the show, but in terms
we haven't talked about it at all this episode.
I mentioned it.
No, okay.
But the best comic book movie I think goes to Avengers because of the comic book stuff. But Dark Knight I think transcends that and just goes into Dark Knight's just a good movie. It happens to be using comic book characters.
Sure.
So I feel like even when we talk about these are all just labels that don't really mean anything, but like Dark Knight Returns, what's the difference between is it a comic book or is it a graphic novel?
Sure.
You know what I mean? I feel like Dark Knight is the best graphic novel movie. And there's been a couple of those that are really good. I do think Watchmen's great, and 300 for what it is what it is. But like, I think Dark Knight stands alone as like, man, this is going to go down as one of the best movies of all time.
I remember the story about that goes that it came out the Friday of E3. And I didn't go see it because I wanted to get home and see it with my girlfriend at the time. And I remember I texted Roper as soon as the show ended, and I was like, what did you think? And he goes, if this doesn't win every Oscar possible. And I was like, fuck! And then I watched it, I was like, oh man, this was amazing. This was fucking amazing.
Oh man, that movie was nuts.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that in the theater and just like, it was like, what is this?
Being genuinely creeped out by Ledger's Joker the first time he really comes out and he slams the dude's head on the pencil, and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, and you just like, look at his mouth on like pills, you know? It's just like, he
was great. That movie was great.
But I mean, that's the thing is they nailed the Dark Knight Batman in the way that Avengers nailed the Marvel popcorny characters.
Man, it's also Christian Bale too. I mean,
I think there's that movie.
I can't believe how mean history has been to him.
I know.
Now that we're at Batfleck and everybody's like, man, and Bale was like, and I was like, we fucking loved Bale when Bale was being Bale. Like, let's not be.
We love Bale, all right?
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
Don't get me wrong, Dark Knight Rises sucked, but everything. I mean, he was fine. And I mean, it's
but that wasn't his fault.
Yeah, exactly. Why is Batman walking around in a stark white room? Why is he fighting people in slow motion? What is going on?
Yeah.
I like Rises.
Colin's not here to stop me.
I like Rises a lot.
Someone needs to.
Yeah, you need to be stopped. Rises is not nearly as bad as everybody says it is. Not nearly. And when I say everybody, I mean the vocal minority on the internet, because honestly,
of course.
That movie is good. It's a good movie. It's just not The Dark Knight, and it's not Begins.
Yeah.
But as an end cap to that
so
trilogy,
I made this comment on our one of our Batman v Superman reactions. We've done way too many.
Don't do this again.
Said that Batman v Superman is a better movie than Dark Knight Rises.
Whoa.
And everybody's like,
this is the bullshit I gotta deal with.
Prove it. And I want you to know that I've literally been on Amazon before with the controller in hand, like psyching myself up to fucking buy Dark Knight Rises. I'm like, I can't do it. I hate this movie. I don't want to sit here for 3 hours like, Rogu.
I haven't seen it since the theaters. I mean, I haven't felt the need to see it, but I probably should rewatch it. I feel like, maybe, I don't know. I should try it again. I'm like on the fence. I'm neutral. Neutral. I don't hate it. I don't love it.
The story goes is that we had gone to visit PlayStation the day before I saw it. People had seen it at midnight and I didn't see it. And one of the guys I was talking to, I don't agree. His name's Sid, great dude. I don't always agree with him on video games.
Yeah.
And he was like, "It's so bad. It is this." And I'm like, "All right, cool. Well." And I'm the DC, apologist. So I'm like, well, whatever. I don't agree with set of video games. I'm sure it won't be that. And I'm watching this and I lean over to my date and I'm just like, this is really bad, right? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, what's happening? What's happening?
I don't understand that. Me and Kevin went, and we literally, after the movie, went and parked in front of my house. We were just like, that was the best trilogy of all time.
Yep.
Like, I can't believe, and again, we're not saying it's the best of the movies.
Trilogies are hard to do.
No, I know.
But as a trilogy, they nailed the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy to me that like people could dislike it that much. Like, and I think the problem is we're at a point now, and especially that movie.
This is like your Ghostbusters too.
It might be. It is. But that movie, when it came out, that year was, I think, the real beginning of the influx of comic book movies, where it was cool to not like comic book movies anymore and to be super critical of everything happening. Because like we're at a point now where how is it possible that you watch Civil War and weren't just absolutely in love with it? Yeah. And it's because we just have so much.
Don't get me wrong. I was asking you about, like when you got into comics, or, was it hard for you to find a peer? Because that was my story of being super alienated. I remember I was just talking to somebody I'm dating, and I was telling her the story of like when I was getting ready to go to college, what a big deal. I was so hopeful to find people that liked comics and video games, and maybe a girl that did like those things too. You know what I mean? Of like, because it was in my high school, I'm the only person who gives a shit about any of this, and I like it in such a different way. And so to get to these points where it's just like, if you were to look back and talk to Greg Miller in high school and be like, there's a Gotham show, and there's a Green Arrow show, and there's a Flash show, and there's a Supergirl show, and there's this, and you only watch like one of them, and the other one you kind of watch, and the other you just don't like. And I would be like, what? Because I remember distinctly long hair Superman post Death and Return, fighting somebody, I think I might have been fighting Toyman, and they fought into a toy store, and the toy store was lined from wall to wall with DC action figures, and I was like, I want to live in that world. And I don't even care that I get crushed maybe by somebody throwing a car or whatever. And it was this, and then you jump ahead to now, there's so much of it. And when I went back to Missouri 2 years ago or whatever, And I'm walking around with my college friends and their 2 kids, and they wanted to go buy baseball bats because they're fucking these kind of losers that play sports. And we cut down one of these aisles, and it was literally like, I'm like walking, I'm like, oh my God, it's happened. And I look and it's just like, it's Fisher Price, like, you know, toys for, and they have like random weirdo, they have a Mr. Mixelplick and they have a fucking Dark Side, and you're like, how does, and none of them care. And I grab them like, you must understand, you have to start playing with these.
Like, that's my thing is like, you know, all this shit's blowing up. But then, like, X-Men are fucked, you know? And I'm like, where's my X-Men merch? Like, no! Like, I got fucked, you know? Like, I'm so bummed.
And you mentioned it, but a big shout out to X2.
Well, so I want your thoughts on this. So the X-Men movies, as the X-Men purist, I think that might be where you can't like them.
I mean, yeah, I'm an asshole, for sure. X-Men 2 is like the closest,
yes.
You know? Like, I think that's the most solid one. Like,
God, that opening,
the opening is
Nightcrawler.
fucking killer. Like, when I saw it in the theater, I was like, oh, like I was losing my fucking mind. I love that opening sequence, but it's just, I don't like the Singerverse. I don't like Bryan Singer's tone. I don't like how depressing, and it's black and it's blue and no one's ever having fun and no one wants to use their powers. And like, you know, in X-Men 3, Rogue's story conclusion is she gets rid of her powers and we're supposed to be happy for her?
Yeah,
like,
no,
what's
X3.
going on?
X3.
Like,
Let's just pretend that
okay.
it didn't
well,
happen.
and
They're pretending
I
it didn't
can't
happen.
believe they're still going, because you had like X-Men 1, which was like, okay, for its time, it was starting off a whole bunch of stuff, and like it really helped like kick off the whole superhero movie thing.
Totally did.
I totally give it that. But if you look at it, it's like X-Men Amateur Hour. It's like, it doesn't have a good budget.
Yeah.
Like there's not a lot of great fights, like whatever. And then we get to the second one, it's like, all right, we're doing better. And then the third one's like garbage. And then then you have the Wolverine movie that came out that was garbage. And I was like, and another Wolverine movie that was kind of like, like I don't really like this either. And so
which one is that? Is that the one where
the Japan one?
one? Okay,
That was all right.
bad ending, but I liked it.
Because his first class came out first, right?
And why did they lean into the costume? Why did they cut out the costume bit? That would have saved so much.
Well, the thing is that Hugh Jackman's not going to look right in that friggin' costume, because you're supposed
he
to be
doesn't have to use it. He can just look at it and be like, oh, fuck it.
Well, yeah,
I've heard your whole Hugh Jackman rant before. You want your Hugh Jackman too fuckable, I believe is your quote.
Yeah, he's a Hollywood Wolverine, and you know what? Trust me, like, I mean, he's hot. Don't get me wrong. Like, I've had really thoughts about him, but like, I think that I want to see an angry, short, little hairy man. You know,
Nick.
like,
No,
Scarpino.
have you heard her pitch for who she wants for?
No.
Give it to him.
okay. So I got to go back in time. I got to get a time machine. I got to go back in time. I got to get a bunch of HGH and some steroids. Start feeding it to Bob Hoskins. All right.
Oh my God!
Imagine how good this show would be.
They'll like get him really ripped, and then like transport him, and then he's Wolverine. I think that
would.
awesome.
He nailed Mario.
When I heard you say that, I was like, "Fuck, that's a great pick."
Like,
for
that
Wolverine.
would be great. I don't know, because that's the
Oh
thing.
my
Okay,
God.
so you have like, I've been a lot of thinking about the X-Men, and you have that big, you know, Jean and Scott and Wolverine thing, and everyone's always like, well, why isn't she with Wolverine? You know, everyone always asks themselves that question, and it's like, well, because he's like 5'3" and he's a hairy, angry little crazy dude that you can't take to a party, because he's gonna have a bad attitude and like ruin something, and then he's either gonna kill you or Sabretooth is gonna kill you. Like,
yeah, you mentioned that every Wolverine girlfriend dies.
Like, there's a lot of shit that comes along with like hooking up with Wolverine. So, you know, of course you would pick Scott Summers. Like, he's a rock. He's gonna be there. He's a better boyfriend material, you know, even though I feel like Scott and Jean kind of activate each other's, negative. They're not great together either. Because I feel like Jean with Wolverine, even though he's crazy and hairy and weird, he would like give her a place to express her dark side, you know, like, and they could do some stuff together. Whereas with Scott, she's trying to be a good girl all the time, and then that's not going to work out. And then she's going to go Dark Phoenix, and it's crazy. You know, it's a whole thing.
No, it's not in the end.
It's a whole thing.
The Wolverine sex is probably better too.
Oh, yeah.
Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
I really like that movie.
Oh, so good.
So good.
So glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Scott Pilgrim, I would say, is probably, I mean, it's one of my favorite movies of all time. But the problem with it is what I was saying earlier about Watchmen is that because it's a movie, there's limitations to it. That movie needed to be an hour longer because it's great the first 45 minutes or whatever. And then they go from X1, there's 7 X's, right? X1, give him some time. X2, cool. X3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You just like total wrap up it like in almost like a montage. And it makes it feel really rushed and incomplete. And I feel like the books allowed it to really breathe, maybe a bit too much. But I would have loved to, even a part 1 and part 2 of the movie, I think could have serviced that a lot better to really make it like stand out. But that's a movie theater experience where I'm like, I can't believe this movie's happening. I can't believe I'm hearing the fairy theme from Zelda, and I can't believe like the transition effects, and like that movie is the type of movie I want to make. The frenetic style, oh man, like it's so good.
Wright,
Edgar Wright is just
Man,
can you imagine his Ant-Man?
would have been. I know. Every time I talk about Edgar Wright, it's like, damn.
Because you can see it in Ant-Man. You can see the moments that were his, like all the conversations.
All the stuff with like Anna or whatever when they cut away and somebody's talking.
Oh my god, that was good.
Dude, I'm so stoked on Wasp. Like, because in the Marvel universe, there's not a lot of chicks that like I'm into. Like Black Widow, I don't know. She's kind of like a liar spy lady. Like I don't know if I can deal with that. And then
plus she's sterile.
Yeah, she's not cool.
JK.
Scarlet Witch, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
I like Scarlet Witch, but like in the movies, she's a little.
And then Captain Marvel coming out. She's in the army and stuff. I don't know.
I'm really excited to see what they do with that. I like Brie a lot,
but I don't like identify with her.
No,
you know. But it's like I can get behind some Wasp business. I want to see more like because I heard that the title of the new Ant-Man movie is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm like, yes. I like that severe bob and the business lady coats.
As you know, I hate prognosticating. But do you think that Spider-Man Homecoming, if we did this topic in 2 years, would be in the running for the best Superman movie? No,
I don't think it can. Because again, I think
he was so good in Civil War.
Yeah, no. I think the movie's going to be fantastic, but I think it's going to face the thing of just there's so much movies that if Civil War didn't make it, Spider-Man's not going to make it. Civil War's fucking fantastic.
And I hear this is probably my, it's so rare. This is always the fun thing about talking about Marvel movies where I get to be the mainstream. Whereas like, DC, we finished Batman. I'm like, did you love when Flash came back in time? And there was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, you're fucking stupid. Like for this one where I feel like it's probably, I think for me it will be. Because if they bend it and it's like, hey, it's Spider-Man and Tony Stark will be here and Michael fucking Keaton's going to be the Vulture or whatever, it's like, yeah, if you can keep the tone you had in what you had in Civil War and bring that over, great.
Yeah.
Because I'm totally biased to the fact of like I just don't like Captain America that much, as much as I try.
Yeah. I mean, I trust me, I think that movie's gonna be fantastic, but I don't know if it's gonna. I think it's gonna be too small to hit this type of conversation.
Spider-Man too small?
Yeah, well, I know, right? Because it's like all the movies that we're listing, they all have something about them that makes them stand out. Avengers is the culmination thing. Dark Knight is the story of it, right?
We talked about Spider-Man 2, though.
Yeah, but Spider-Man 2 was only good because it was the first good thing, right?
No, but I mean, it was good because we didn't have to worry about the origin. If we don't have to worry about the origin Homecoming, and it's just like, all right, cool, I'm Spider-Man, Uncle Ben died, and da-da-da, and now I'm going to go do Spider-Man stuff, and I'm in high school, and this is fun.
We'll see. I don't know if it can...
Do you think it's going to top Spider-Man 2?
Oh, yeah. I think this is going to be the best Spider-Man movie
It's
ever
one of those,
made.
when you go back, I feel like when you go back and watch Spider-Man 2, it doesn't hold up as much.
Yeah, and
I watched it not too long ago, and it's really solid. It's really solid. Like, Sam Raimi did a great job.
And that was the whole thing of like when I remember, God damn it, do I remember being duped on Spider-Man 3 where I was just like, seems like a lot of characters, but I trust you, Sam Raimi, go for it.
My problem with it is...
That was studio interference. You can't give Sam
Spider-Man
Raimi
2 is a great movie. But my problem is it's not a great Spider-Man movie. Spider-Man is not Spider-Man. Peter Parker is not Peter Parker.
Why isn't he?
Just because he's the quips and stuff. Where are they? They're not in that movie.
Well, there's different types of Peter Parkers, though. And they were playing like a more 60s kind of Peter Parker. Like they were
Who is literally no one's favorite Peter Parker.
Well, but that's what they were doing. And I feel like they translated that tone very well. But it isn't the
It isn't the quippy one. But I mean, like, I still totally dug, like, when he's like, when he goes to the doctor, the guy's like, well, maybe you don't need to be Spider-Man. Why you don't need to be climbing up those walls. And like the car rolls by and he's like eating ice cream. There's raindrops keep falling. And I'm like, that entire montage was awesome. And then when Mary Jane gets stolen, he does like the fucking epic boom, drops his glasses. Like, that's fucking great. And Doc Ock was so good.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Man, Alfred Molina was great. And I love that scene in the operating theater scene was just like so Evil Dead.
Yeah, I know, right. Like the fucking snap zooms and like fucking claws and shit.
And then clawing the floors.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
I like. Can I admit a movie that it's not very great, but I like it?
Howard the Duck.
No. The Shadow.
Oh my God!
Alec Baldwin.
Yeah, I remember Alec Baldwin. Yeah,
I've never seen that.
Man, you should watch it. It's you should watch it. It's got Tim Curry in it.
Shadow
Tim Curry.
Yeah, it's got Tim Curry in it. It's a lot of fun. I think it's pretty ridiculous, but I think it holds. Like it's very like, okay. Here's my thing about bad movies. I like bad movies with good pacing. You know,
okay.
it's like there's a lot of movies out there like as long as it has good pacing, like all right, great. And that's one of those movies where it's a little cheesy, a little whatever, but the pacing is so great. And Alec Baldwin was at his prime.
That was I know
you guys aren't on the same wavelength on Alec Baldwin as I am.
No, trust me, I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's a very magnetic fellow.
No, yeah, totally.
Not anymore, but.
We're talking about he was great in 30 Rock.
Well, you know,
They called his daughter a pig.
I know.
He said a whole bunch of other shit.
That whole crazy shit. He needs to stay off social media.
Yeah, he does.
It's, you know, it's not for everybody.
So we've all agreed Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition, the best superhero film
I
of
still
all
haven't
time.
seen the Ultimate Edition. I had a guy on Twitter who got mad at me who was like hating on me. He's like, how dare you? Like, you can't talk about the movie if you haven't even seen the Ultimate Edition. You know, you don't even know what you're talking about. And I'm like, dude,
I mean, he makes a point.
Dude, adding 30 minutes to that?
I'm fucking around.
Adding 30 minutes to that is not going to change. Like, you need to take 30 minutes off of that thing, not add more. Like, oh, man.
I mean,
So I just Googled best superhero movies
yeah.
or best comic book movies. Oh, God damn it. And
What IGN article did you find?
no. I'm just, the Google has like images.
The Google.
We're dealing with Avengers,
Yeah.
Dark Knight, Spider-Man 2, X2, Guardians of the Galaxy, Dark Knight Rises.
Fuck that.
So there you go, Dark Knight Rises.
No Watchmen.
X-Men First Class.
No, too many people
Superman
hate
1, not 2.
No,
Kick ass.
I mean, I can sit here and I can talk to you for another whole fucking topic about Superman 1 versus Superman 2.
Let's move on.
We're gonna move on. Superman 1's a great flick, but it does the same thing where it's just like, why do we have to see his origin story again?
I know.
And but again, you have to take yourself back to that time where like, for the first time, you are seeing Krypton and you are seeing the ship and you are seeing all this different stuff. Superman 2 just gets right to business, right? Awesome. Zod. You kidding me? You fucking kidding me?
What's that
What was
chick's
that
name?
Also,
I
Superman
like
comes.
chest.
Ursa. Also, Superman then comes back and fucks some guy up at a diner for no reason. Never seen garbage eat garbage before. You're Superman. Why are you back fucking this guy up? Like, sure, he sucks, but.
Well, it's like that scene in the what was the Superman of Steel?
Yeah.
Where he's
Oh,
working.
he fucks the truck up?
He fucks the truck up. And
That I
was
liked.
just like, no.
That I like.
No,
That's an honest human emotion.
Livelihood, when he could have just easily picked him up and put him outside. Instead, he decided to ruin his truck. That's kind of like messed up.
Yeah, it was totally fucked up, and it wasn't a smart move as far as
It's
hiding
like,
himself.
why did you let him? He really just pick him up. Like, you're a bouncer. Bounce. Like, what are you doing?
I think he was
Like,
actually like a barback or a busboy.
whatever.
I'm just
Bounce.
letting you know.
You can do it.
Yeah, you know, you've
Henry
never been up
Cavill.
to Alaska like he had. You don't know what it's like up
Deadliest catch.
there. And then the whole like, no, let me die. Like, no, Dad, I'm not gonna let you
No,
die. I can
that's
be there in a
not-
heartbeat.
Like,
I'll
no
get
one
you
would
back.
even know because it's a freaking tornado and no one's looking. There's like,
Yeah.
it's fine. Ugh.
He's like, no, he's like this. He's like, no, Dad. Smallville season 1 ended this exact same way, and I saved Lana, so I'll save you too, because it's a
Yeah.
fucking goddamn movie where I'm Superman. Anyways, Tim.
Yes.
Topic number 4 is all yours.
So here's the deal. We fell in love with you over Game of Thrones content.
Yeah.
Where
I fell in love with it over the comic book stuff.
where you take it to a whole other level of really kind of explaining all the shit that we don't understand
Yes.
because you are an expert at not only the TV show, but also the books and the differences and the characters and the history of the characters that you wouldn't even know exists if you just watch the show. So my question to you, I want you to kind of predict the future here.
Okay.
How is Game of Thrones going to end? Like, let's go through the characters and where do you think everything's going to end up in the TV show
Right.
universe?
In the TV
And then if you
universe.
think it's going to end differently in the books, you know, let's go from there. This might get spoilery, so just be
Yeah, I'm gonna
Be
do some
warned.
I mean,
Nostradamus
1,000%
shit.
it's gonna get spoiler
Absolutely.
if you're not up to date right now,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, so where do we want to start? With whose
Tyrion's gonna be
story?
king.
I think that's a possibility because, as we know, Daenerys, she's an amazing conqueror, but she's not a great ruler, and that's how I am. Like, I love conquering, but I hate the mundane realities of actually ruling a kingdom, like the management.
What does that mean? What does that mean in your life, 19?
And so I don't know. I think that he would be a great fit to be the king. Although I don't know. I mean, that's definitely. I feel like the show is writing kind of for fan fiction of what people want to see. So I feel like Tyrion, I'm gonna give him like a 60% probability of like ending up on the Iron Throne.
Okay.
I mean, as we have. Okay, so Jon Snow's like the only eligible bachelor in the entire of Westeros. So I mean, I'm pretty sure that Daenerys and him are gonna hang out at some point, and he's half Targaryen. Although she can't have babies, so I mean, that doesn't mean that they're gonna have a dynasty or anything like that because she's barren. So like they couldn't carry on their line, you know, if they were king and queen. Like so that wouldn't work. So it would make more sense for Tyrion and maybe somebody else. Maybe Sansa. Maybe they get back together. Maybe
the reunion we're waiting for.
Maybe Sansa's like, you know what? You weren't so bad.
You know,
like,
let's see how the other half lives. No, I'll fuck you.
Yeah.
You were all right, actually, comparatively to everybody else. But I think that, you know, we might see, we might see Bran warg into a dragon. You know, I feel like that.
Holy shit.
That could be a thing. I feel like
awesome.
that could be a thing. I think we're going to have the Clegane Bowl eventually.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to have to see Sandor and the mountain, zombie mountain, like fight it out. Jaime is definitely going to kill Cersei. He's going to choke her out because she's like the big bad for next season.
So I mean, let's take this season by season then.
Okay.
So right now, season 6 just ended. We know we have 2 more left.
Yeah.
We know that they're going to be shortened seasons.
Yes.
So
What does that mean?
So season 7 is going to be 7 episodes, and I think season 8 is going to be 8 episodes. That's not confirmed.
And
I think the 7
those are the
parts
final
confirmed.
2 seasons.
Final 2 seasons of the show. So we're,
One of those seasons work. I think season 7 was confirmed for 7.
season 7 is confirmed for 7.
Yeah,
Season 8's not
8,
confirmed,
yeah,
but
still.
the rumor is they had said that there's going to be 15 left.
Yeah. I heard
so
13 to 15. It could
somewhere
be.
in there. So with the 2 seasons left,
Okay.
what do you think we're going to go from here? Season 6. What happens in season 7?
Okay, well, in season 6, Cersei's the big bad because they've been doing a big bad every season. So last season was Ramsay Bolton. This season, it's going to be Cersei, of course. And I feel like we'll probably in this season see Jaime kill Cersei at some point. And then the season after that, we're going to have the Night's King, I assume, is going to be the deal. So next season will probably be all about dispatching Cersei, her whole story, what the deal is. And Daenerys, obviously, she's coming over. So, I mean, you know, Tyrion will be coming back as well. So we're going to have like them taking over King's Landing. One thing that I think might happen is, okay, so we saw at the end of last season, she blew up the Sept of Baelor, right? Well, if you remember, Jaime, the Kingslayer, he killed Mad King Aerys, Daenerys' father, because he was going to blow up the entire city, right? So I feel like one thing that Cersei might do next season is if Daenerys comes to attack King's Landing and take King's Landing, she might try to blow up the city like Mad King Aerys, and that will probably prompt
Jaime to be like,
to kill her because
Yeah.
he's going to have to be the Queenslayer.
The Queenslayer.
Exactly what we.
And yeah, it's the pattern. He's repeating that
Yeah.
same pattern.
Well, there was that the projection or whatever that Cersei, the prophecy, right, where
she gets
Cersei
killed
was
by her
going to,
brother.
her kids were going to die, and then her brother's going to kill her. We all assumed it was Tyrion,
Right.
But now this is like, all right, it's going to be Jaime.
It's got to
Yeah.
be Jaime. I mean, it could be Tyrion, but I really feel, Jaime and her are the one that have
Yeah.
like, their whole beef going on. And their whole relationship's been really weird in the show as compared to in the books. Like in the books, Jaime's like over her, I'll see you later or whatever. She's not queen of Westeros or anything yet.
In the
That's
books, so if he's over her, is he all about Brienne?
he's not about Brienne either, unfortunately. You know, he's just kind of like, I got to figure my shit out, you know, I think. So,
It's important.
But, dude, I want to see somebody get with Brienne. I would love to see Jaime get with Brienne.
What about Tormund?
But I'm
Are
down
you
for
a fan?
Tormund. He's a hot dude. Like that actor's really cute. And I'm like, what are you doing,
Get it.
Brienne?
Get
Like,
it.
Get it. Like,
Yeah.
why are you being scowly to
That's
this
like
dude?
the assistant to Tyrion. Yes, no.
No.
Podrick is the
Been a
assistant.
pleasure.
Podrick.
Tried to jump on the train. My arm got ripped off.
Podrick is the squire to Brienne, though, and he's the guy who did.
So who do you
want
wanna fuck, Brienne?
Tormund. But she
The
should
wildling, the big
the
ginger
redheaded.
Oh,
wildling.
thank you. The Capital One guy. Thanks.
Yeah, yes.
Why don't you just
Capital
use
One
words
guy.
I know?
Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see that. I don't. Okay, so
Now hold on a second. Did you know that Jaime only has one hand?
Yeah.
Okay.
God damn it, Greg. So just so you know, we love Game of Thrones. Greg somehow
Missed the train.
was on the train and then jumped off.
Yeah.
No,
Just
no,
this
no,
season.
No, no, no.
I get
so,
it. I
no,
get
no,
it.
no, no. What in the very same way, I'm not a big space guy. I'm not a very big
Fantasy.
old school. Hey, we got fires and sticks and shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Medieval
Skyrim.
stuff.
Skyrim was weird. I got into Skyrim, but that
Right.
was like the thing. And so I had a girlfriend for a long time who was like, "Oh, I like Game of Thrones. Let's watch Game of Thrones." Like, I'll watch along. And these are the conversations we had. Oh my god, can you believe that? And I'm like, who is that? Oh, the guy from the station agent. Oh, thank you very much. That helps me out. Oh, the Capital One guy. All right, great. Now I know what's going on. And so then we broke up, and then we get to this season. I'm just like, I'm not motivated to watch this, not because I was forced, but because it was her show. In the same way I forced her to watch Flash.
Right.
And so here we are, where I was just like, I have no motivation. And apparently this is the season where everything happened was great.
No. I wouldn't say that. I feel like this season's very much fan fiction, crazy season. I mean, it's like, because they're off the books now. So
Sure. Well, the book sucked, obviously. George Railroad Martin has been screwing you over forever.
I'm asking you for your predictions of the future, but let's go back a bit. What would you have done with season 6 then?
Well, I mean, I feel like they just blew their load with this whole show. Like, why do one book per season? Like, there's so much in all these books. They're so dense. You could really, like, once I understand the first season, they don't know if the show's going to go or not. They don't know if it's going to catch on. I get it. So they're trying to fit a whole lot in there, right? But once you see that this shit's, like, popping off, why don't you, like, whoa, and, like, have 4 seasons out of books like 4 and 5?
But isn't that the whole I mean, to jump in from the sidelines, doesn't that fall into the whole thing of like what we hate about TV, where TV goes on too long? And
but there's enough to mine that you could, like, is the thing. Like, they have so much that they could work with, and they're just like, nope, we're just gonna go real fast.
Sure.
And it's kind of like,
But I kind of feel like that it works to their benefit, because season 5 was the one that everyone had a lot of issues with because it was so slow and there was like nothing really happening until the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they changed a lot of things too in season 5, and it's just, man, Sansa's story's killing me. Yeah. Sansa's killing me. Is Sansa killing you guys?
Yeah, she is. Yeah. I mean, it's
did you know she has red hair?
What's funny about her is like, so everyone was upset. Everyone was upset about her in season 5, and then now she's in season 6, and everyone's all about her. But it's like, to me, it doesn't really seem earned. No. Like, she just kind of all of a sudden this badass character that's like all schemy and shit.
She wore a
like,
black dress at the end.
And it's all of a sudden,
that's how you
she
knew.
goes from being the worst human being ever to, I'm supposed to like you now.
But then she doesn't do anything with it. Then she just ends up getting like raped and tortured for a whole season. And you're just like, I thought with Sansa, I was like, well, maybe she'll play the father against the son, and maybe she'll sow dissension within the house, and that's how she'll like subtly, it was just, I'm going to jump off with Theon in the snow and we're gonna run away, and it was just like whatever. And then like Littlefinger is weird and that whole thing, and next like, okay, so I don't know, this whole season where she's like, I'm not gonna tell Jon about the Knights of the Vale, and you're like, what? Why? And then at the end she's like,
they could have waited.
She's like, sorry, I didn't tell you, Jon. And he's like, it's cool. And it's like, what?
Well, so that's the thing though, is what was that whole stare down about, right? When the King of the North, whatever, and then Sansa looks over at Littlefinger, and Littlefinger does his little like, I'm Littlefinger, here's my eyebrows.
Well, it's really confusing to me, because people who are pro Sansa are like, well, that means that her and him are in cahoots, and that they're gonna maybe fuck over Jon or kill Jon and then take it or something like that. But then the preceding thing, that when we see them together, she rebuffs his advances, so I don't think they are in cahoots. And and Sansa's never done anything awesome, so I don't think that she's going to do something awesome, like, I just don't see it. So I don't know what her end game is, and like, really honestly, and I think too, it's like, okay, so she was married to Tyrion, and then she got married to Ramsay, and then you've been around a little bit, like, you've hung out with dudes, like, whatever. And so when Littlefinger comes to her and is like, hey, like, I'm telling you, you can essentially manipulate me because I like you so much. And she's like, no, whatever. It's like, no, like, manipulate that guy. Like, what are you doing? Like, say, yes, I'll kiss you. And then she's really like, I want to see her do something. Like
the spindly fingers thing.
Yeah, like learn or something. Like, you learn the Game of Thrones, though. It's like, that guy's the most manipulative guy. And if she can manipulate the most manipulative guy in the Seven Kingdoms, well, then you've earned my respect.
Yeah. So what do you think his end game is then?
Well, I mean, he obviously wants to sit on the Iron Throne. I mean, that's his whole deal, I guess. It's like, why? It just seems like a lot of
work,
BS. And you know how much in debt the Seven Kingdoms is to the Iron Bank across the sea. So, like, do you really want to be, like, responsible for all the debt that's owed? Like, I don't know. I think that being the king of Westeros wouldn't be an awesome deal right now. But yeah, he wants to do that. I don't know. He's in control of the Vale, right? So, I mean, he is a warden of, I guess, the East. So he's got that stuff going on with Robin or whatever. I don't know. I don't know where he's going. He wants to take over everything. He wants to be with Sansa. Sansa's an idiot. We'll see. We'll see. I know that he's going to probably cause problems for Daenerys, because Varys and Littlefinger are kind of at odds. They both have their own schemes, where you have Littlefinger, who really, I believe, does want the best for the Seven Kingdoms, whereas Littlefinger wants them for himself. Like, he wants them for ego reasons. So, you know, Varys is back to Daenerys, and so he's backed, you know, Sansa. So maybe Littlefinger will try to get Sansa to mess up something for Daenerys when it comes to Daenerys and Jon, like, having an alliance or something. But then again, you also have at the same time, they're all getting all the women characters together because there's this big, like, just like, Ghostbusters thing. It's like, we're going to do the War of the Five Queens. So we're going to have Yara and the Sand Snake Lady, who cares? And then you have 2 eunuchs and a dwarf and then Daenerys. And then they're going to come over. They're going to fight Cersei. But then you have, you know, what's her face? Sansa. So Sansa going to join the chicks because she hates Cersei.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then Marjorie's gone. It's so sad. But we still got the grandma, though.
Yeah, she's awesome.
And she's
Lena is on Team Daenerys too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, so with Daenerys, I mean, obviously that's been the storyline that everybody's been waiting for so long, is like, when's she actually going to come over? We finally see her coming over. Yeah. What in season 7 that's about to come up, what do you... How do you see that playing out in terms of Daenerys and their team's storyline?
I mean, it looks like they're setting sail for King's Landing straight up. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing is, how are they going to play out this? If my plan of Cersei blowing up the city, like, it could go 2 ways. Either Jaime strangles her, or she does in fact blow up the city, and maybe Jaime like strangles her later. So maybe she does like kind of have a successful trick again and like ends up killing some of her team. You know, who knows? I don't think that, I mean, Daenerys will probably be flying around on a dragon, so she'll probably be cool. You know, I don't know if I know fire cannot kill a dragon. I'm not entirely sure about wildfire, but I assume
they're good.
They're probably good.
Yeah. So then there's the Yara's the other dude, Euron, right? So he has boats. He's coming. He's doing some shit.
I mean, he says he's building them, but how long does that really take? You know?
Well, I mean, they had to introduce him for a reason, right?
Yeah.
So what is that reason? He has that whole team.
Yeah.
Are they going to intercept them getting to King's Landing?
Well, I mean, that's the only thing I can... That makes a lot of sense now that you're bringing him up. I totally forgot about old stupid Euron. I wanted to, like, blank him out of my memory. Yeah, he's going to have to hook up with Cersei because he's a bad guy, you know? And so it's like, all right, I'll help you with my ships because you don't... Like, her armada got blown up in the Blackwater...
Season 2.
Yeah, Blackwater Bay situation. So yeah, she's definitely going to need his ships. So I guess they're going to form an alliance.
Mm-hmm.
But she's not going to marry Euron. She won't marry that guy. But
I mean, I don't even know if they necessarily need to actually team up. Just more be on the same side, right? Like we know that he's trying to bang Daenerys. Right. That's not going to end well for anybody.
I mean, Yara got there first.
Yeah,
so
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. although Daenerys would never hook up with that guy anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely not. So, all right, so that's all going on. We're assuming they're going to come through the whole wildfire. Like, do you think the season finale will be the King's Landing, flames, Cersei dead?
I mean, it's interesting. It's like, are they going to do that? Or are they just going to, because that's the thing. Are you really just going to have one season with the Night's King? Because he seems like a really fucked up bad guy that's going to take some doing to figure out what to do with him. So, like, maybe like the Night's King stuff will start happening more in that season and we'll get rid of the Cersei. Like, I just don't know how Cersei's going to hold out. Mm-hmm. She doesn't really have any allies. She doesn't really have any money. She doesn't really have any ships. Like, she really doesn't. I mean, the whole kingdom is very starved from the War of the Seven Kings and everything. So it's just like, I don't know how she's going to defend herself that well, you know? So maybe she's dispatched earlier and then we get into Night's King stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the next season is just all Night's King shenanigans.
I mean, that would be crazy if they got rid of her early, because then the wall needs to come down at some point.
I forgot. The wall's gonna. That could be. See, we get rid of Cersei, and then the wall comes down.
The wall coming down, and like everyone coming.
Yeah. So what's the Night King doing for this season then? Do we just get little glimpses of him like we've been getting forever? Yeah. All right, cool. So then it makes sense then for Cersei. It doesn't need to be right away that she gets done, and then she keeps going on. And then Arya, she wants to go west of Westeros. What the fuck does that mean?
I don't know. I love Arya so much in the books, and I just hate what they've done with her in the show. Like, I was so excited for her to go to Bravos, and like everything in Bravos have just been like, no, this is not what I wanted.
This isn't canon. This isn't what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I'm being a dork about it. So and like she just gets over there so quick, and I don't know. Do you really even want to go back to Winterfell after all this? I mean, you really want to hang out with Sansa?
Do you think she ends up back in Winterfell?
I mean, how could she not? You know, I mean, how could she not show up? Like, you want to see.
Well, because the question now is, does she go back to Winterfell? Does she keep going down her list and killing people, or does she just go straight?
Do you know who else is on her list?
I mean, there's Cersei, the Hound, technically.
Well, I guess she was told
the Mountain.
The Mountain's off the list now. So
No, the Hound. Wait, what?
They're the Hound. The Hound's
Yeah,
off the
Hound's
list.
off the list.
Is he?
Yeah, because she thought he was dead.
Yeah.
But I mean, if he's not, then
They can't be. They
That's how
became
the list
bros
works.
though. They
Yeah.
were like
Double
bros a little
jeopardy. You
bit.
can't kill him twice.
There you go.
okay, cool.
There you
So
go.
we'll take the Hound off, but the Mountain's
Yeah.
still there.
I watched
Yeah.
that season.
Yeah.
The
Mountain,
Boltons are
Cersei.
dead, so those are off the list. She doesn't have to
Yeah.
forget about the Boltons. And she got those. I can't remember Raph Polliver.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah,
But I
yeah.
don't know if those are. I get my books and my
What's
shows
the name of the
mixed up now.
executioner?
The
Paul.
tickle,
That was
tickler?
Paul, right?
The tickler.
Is it Tickler?
Yeah.
The tickler.
The dude that
I
put
don't remember the tickler.
The tickly monster.
the rat on the dude's stomach.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's there's Rorge and Biter, and then like Raph and the Tickler or something, or maybe Raph is the Tickler. I can't. Again,
I don't remember that.
it's all getting mushed up in there.
So the Hound. Speaking of the Hound, he is just got with the Brotherhood without banners again.
Yeah.
Which
That's a good place for him.
yeah, so he's gonna be doing that whole thing.
Yeah.
How do you think him and the Mountain come together again?
Well, I mean, okay, so I know that the Brotherhood Without Banners is not down with the Baratheons. You know, like they're super against Cersei as well. So I could definitely see them joining up with Daenerys's side, or even just like being guerrillas. You know, just like helping Daenerys by like on the sidelines. So yeah, I could see them definitely going to be like, hey, like they need some help. Like let's descend and take this whole kingdom back and make it not lame for everybody. Although I don't know, well. That whole thing is off the rails too with Beric Dondarrion, and there's no Lady Stoneheart.
Do you think we'll ever see Lady Stoneheart?
No.
It's too late at this point, right?
It's too late, especially because they brought Jon back, so that kind of messes it up for like Catelyn being brought back, and then and I wish Jon Snow was like, do you guys wish this? He seems like if you die and you come back,
You
like,
should be a little bit different.
You should be a little different.
See, that's what I'm really okay. I'm going off track here a little bit. The books. Do you think the books are going to handle things much differently than the show did?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. I mean, it's already very different. So, I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of differences. But like
in terms of Jon, do you think that the books are going to make Jon a bit more dark or just different?
Gregarious.
Well, okay, so in the books he's been stabbed. He's got the stabby stab, but he has not. We don't know what's happened after that. So we do know Melisandre's on the wall with him, and she has pulled a glamour before where Mance was somebody else. She did a switcheroo. So I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. I doubt that. I didn't think before the show. I didn't see him coming back like that, where like the Red Woman brings him back. You know, like I didn't think that was going to be a thing. But like with the books, I just don't even try to think about it because I just want to be surprised, you know? Because it's like I almost don't even want to watch the show anymore because I don't like the hold the door thing. It's like you know that's some George R. R. Martin business, and like I want to read it in the book
In his way,
and
yeah.
like I know that's gonna be like even more like as good as it was, and it like made me cry a little bit in the show.
For the record, that was profound for me because even though I didn't watch the episode, I read the Geek and Sundry spoiler report, and I was like, that's pretty good.
It was like so good.
Hate
I was
you so
watching with
much.
my neighbors, like we had a Game of Thrones night,
Yeah.
and then like my one neighbor Dawa, she was like totally, she's like, oh, she's totally crying, and she made me cry a little bit, and I was trying to cry in front of these guys. It was,
I'm a tough chick.
yeah. Well, you know, I feel weird about crying in front. I'm an Aquarius. We don't like crying in front of people. We don't like.
Do
showing
Taurus cry in
weaknesses.
front of everybody? Because I cry in front of everyone.
You know,
in
well,
front of
you guys are
everyone?
emotional beings, man.
It's
You
true,
know,
we
you
are.
like you're steady, but you like the nice things. You know, you're touched by things.
Oh, Greg's
Touched by art.
very
He's
touched.
touched.
Yeah.
Very, very touched. So what's up with my boy Gendry? We're gonna see him again? He's out there rowing?
Fuck. Who
Is he
knows?
still rowing?
Gotta hope we
I
see him
mean,
It's
again.
been like 3 seasons of him rowing.
Well, talking about Arya, I bet she's gonna see him.
You think?
I bet Arya.
I mean, do you think he'll ever be referenced again?
I mean, I think, you know what? Here's my fan fiction thing. I want to see Arya and Gendry get together, and then they finally get to be together, and then they sail off, and they're just like, "Fuck this shit. This shit sucks. Like, we're just gonna
We're
let's
going
go
out."
on
That would be awesome.
adventures."
And that's the
Like,
West of Westeros.
Yeah, seeing them go west.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, but you know, just let's go to the Summer Isles. I don't know. Like, there's some nice islands below where it's tropical. Hang out there. It's like go anywhere. Like Westeros kind of sucks. Like.
Yeah. I'm very excited, man. I'm hoping for good stuff. Because now that we're at the end, like I like that all the fan servicey stuff's happening.
Yeah.
I like that all the questions that people had and the theories that people had, they're starting to get answered. Is it or is it not? You know, and it's cool. I think that the end, the finale, I thought was amazing. But the reveal of the Jon Snow situation, the R plus J equals L thing, is like,
why not just say it?
Why not just say it? You know?
Yeah.
Like I thought it was kind of weird.
Have a
It's like,
whisper there, yeah.
Whispers.
For another reveal later. That's not necessary.
Yeah, I was like, come on.
I love Lady Mormont. I think that John should become betrothed to her and let her grow up and then marry her because she's the one.
She's the one.
She's the one.
Yeah,
like,
she's bringing the thunder.
She's the queen of the North.
Yes.
Okay, if he's the king of the North, like that little bitch is the best. Like I love her little scowl.
It's great. Do you know about this?
I've seen it on Reddit.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You've seen it.
You've definitely seen it.
You're on the internet.
Yeah, I know what's going on.
Yeah.
The big question: have they figured out who Star-Lord's father is yet?
Oh God, Greg.
It's not Adam Warlock, unfortunately. I wanted it to be Adam Warlock.
I did too.
I fucked it up.
They did. They had his pod in the background. I thought it was gonna be
Good tease for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show. Kevin, take it.
No, get back on your job.
Do it, Kevin.
Do it, Kevin. Kevin, it's your first episode. Close out the episode.
Why do you do this? I'm not prepared for anything.
You know what you do? You take the baby bird who's really overweight and you throw him out of the nest.
And you say, straight down
no, but you got the soft bones. You're going to land. You're going to exit the show.
I actually don't ever listen to the
Each and every week.
Each and every week. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. I don't ever listen to the outro of the show. It's the intro of the show again.
I said outro.
I know.
Oh, is it? I don't know. I've never listened to it. By this point, I'm sleeping.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Game Over Greggy Show.
Each and every week.
Each and every week.
4, sometimes
4,
5.
sometimes 5.
Best friends.
Best friends gather around this table.
Each bringing
their own topic to the table.
Close enough. Sure.
And they talk about it. And you can go on patreon.com /
Kind of fun. Don't say / Patreon.com.
Oh, we're not doing / anymore?
That's a Nick thing. We never fucking did / That's a Nick thing.
Thank you for hanging out with us for nearly 2 hours.
If they want to get it free, where do they go?
YouTube.com /
I fucking God damn it, Kevin. You're only doing
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. This has been a great show. You should definitely check her out over at patreon.com / comicbookgirl19.
Yeah, /
comicbookgirl19.
Nick isn't here. This was our one chance.
Go to youtube.com / comicbookgirl19.
Yes, yeah.
Subscribe there.
I got a big old
awesome content.
Ghostbusters review.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That
That's
would be
really
great.
positive.
Yeah, the comment section's real
I'm
positive.
sure they're thrilled, as they were with ours. We'll go, Greg.
Kevin, until next time.
It's been our pleasure to serve you.
Yeah, they said it already.
It's been our pleasure to serve you. I hate you, Kevin. God damn it!